Welcome! We are Small and Mighty, and today we're going on an adventure! And more importantly, we're back! It's been a little while. Some life stuff kind of came up, and then there was a heat wave, and everything's been kind of on fire, as they say. But we are back, and excited to be here. Isn't that right, everybody?
Yeah.
Petition to formally change the name of the stream to Hot and Sweaty.
So yeah, right. Let me just retake that. Okay. We are hot and sweaty. Today we're gonna melt.
To change the text. No, let's not.
But to that point, it is obviously a very hot day. So if the quality of the stream slides somewhat, you'll just have to kind of go with us there. If you can hear like computer fan or me fanning myself in the background,
Ooh, that's a
you're
nice
just
fan.
gonna have to deal with it because we are hot, sweaty people and we need to survive.
Yeah, I have a fan today. It's my biggest.
Yeah.
He is my biggest fan over there.
Good.
You can't hear it.
The biggest fan, the only fan, because they're all sold out otherwise.
Yes.
Yes, so we're gonna play some D&D. Normally play for about 2-3 hours. This might be a shorter session, just again because of the heat. Like we don't want to kill ourselves. But ultimately we'll see what happens as we play. Because it's D&D. This is improv. Who the hell knows what's gonna happen? So don't hold us to anything. But cool. I have written down my notes, and this may be wrong, but Tally, apparently you have the inspiration token.
Ooh.
That seemed about right to everybody? I can't tell anymore. Yeah, you take it. There you go.
We take it.
No,
Yeah.
Tally will have it. Yeah, we'll take it. That's fine. It's good. Seems about right. Can't tell why, but I should always write. I should write down why I give these tokens out. I just got inspiration token. Tally. I'm like, guess so.
It works.
There's also going to be lots of pauses for drinking water. So
Yes.
highly
Oh,
encourage
God,
guys. Guys, if you haven't got water, get a glass of water.
Yes.
Very important. To
Quick,
stay hydrated.
quick spritz break.
Amazing. Ryan's on a whole nother level. Cool. Yeah, good work.
Anyway.
So we'll jump into a bit of a recap, and bear with us as we all kind of remind ourselves where we are. But, Small and Mighty, we find you at the end of probably must be your longest day ever.
Yes.
Last night, you were travelling to a forest to bring a troll back to his new home. Then you woke up this morning after having a trippy dream. You travelled back to town and found your pub was on fire. You beat up some agents, found the pub landlord and your employer had been kidnapped. You then tracked down these messes to a secret base where you infiltrated it successfully, assassinated most of them, found out... Rescued your landlord and then picked up another dwarf while you were there. Confronted the Crow, this Emesa agent who was masked off, revealed to be none other than Jenny Adler. But also faced down against...
I forgot.
Also faced down against Splint, a sort of looming bad guy that you've sort of seen from a distance. Jenny Adler escaped on a train, but you guys managed to successfully pin down Splint, interrogated him. He seemed more than compliant. He clearly didn't have a lot of loyalty to the messes. But as he was divulging what must be confidential secrets, he suddenly, inexplicably went brain dead as this sort of pulse went through in this weird eye he had. You cleaned up, you dealt with a few remaining messer agents, you hauled him back to the pub, where you've brought Burchard back. You had a shit ton of loot from the train that you tally derailed, that you are now currently selling off to sort of support repairs to the pub, some of the local homeless and fortunate citizens around there, and then you're getting banking some for some upgrades to the pub, which we are working on in the background. Then you all had an awkward conversation about the morals and tactics of the group. Potentially that maybe people like Chad and Brass could get a little too far. Just assassinating people without reason and like maybe give them a chance, maybe etc. Led to a very awkward dinner. Complete silence, despite the fact that Romyard, your new dwarven friend, was trying to make a cheery, sort of family-friendly dinner, and it just was an awkward argument, family argument at Christmas. That was all said and done, and you all made your way to Moorgrave Manor, a destination that's been looming in Christina's sort of to-do list for a while, and finally sort of pushed to it with worries about what your magic has been doing, Christina, and maybe the groups as well, the larger kind of statement. But yes, you arrived there, Mulgrave Manor. As you did, you found this ruined building that had a sign that said Sanatorium for the Magically Afflicted. There was a puzzle that you discovered in the courtyard, and much to Christina's chagrin, you had to solve it to enter, but you did so. And when you did, this illusion that was cast over the manor kind of shattered, revealing this pristine, beautiful manor. And the sign that had previously said Sanatorium for the Magically Afflicted changed to say something else. Do you remember what it said?
Oh,
Hogwarts School of Witchcraft.
Yeah, like house for like wayward, no, maybe not wayward, but like it's something for something arcanist, like wayward arcanists.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes, it was the. I should have. You know what? I asked the question and didn't have the answer written down. That's helpful for me, isn't it? It is.
The Academy for Wayward Archimists. That's the one.
There we go. That's the wording. Yes, Academy for Wayward Arcanists.
Nice.
And you entered it, and you started to discover that this place is maybe once had been a sanatorium, but definitely now is a secreted away school to train people in the arcane arts and protect them. You were greeted in by this bust of what looked like a very fancy-looking elvish individual who spoke to you in a Riverdanian accent and referred to himself as the steward of Morgrave Manor. Told you that they would inform the lady of the house that you had arrived, and upon doing so, bursting from a sitting room was Christina's grandmother, Eretha Christmas, who came over and gave you a big hug. This very kind of like almost like fairy godmother looking individual, about 4 foot almost height, came up and hugged you, and then slinking out behind her with this much taller, sort of 6 foot tall, stick thin woman, bone white, very much like mum in Adam's Family, banking.
Yeah.
oh, Morticia.
Morticia Adams,
Yeah.
yes, very Morticia Adams. Emerged. You were greeted by them both, and Christine, you obviously had a lot of questions. So they brought you through to the sitting room, and they begin to drop what I can only describe as a massive lore dump on you guys. Pertaining to a few particular areas. So, Christina, you learnt that your amulet is one of 7 items, 7 magical items. Do you remember what those were called?
Was that you asked Verity specifically?
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Go on, Verity.
The magic gems.
Good, right, go on, Will.
The Genesis relics.
Thank you. I love that you were so confident, Verity. You're like, oh, and then like,
Oh,
magic gems.
Chaos Emeralds, right? You know the.
The Chaos Emeralds, of course.
Yeah,
Dragon
gems,
Balls.
yeah.
MacGuffins.
I think
Generic.
what are the ones from Captain Planet where it's like earth, wind, fire, water, heart?
Yeah.
It was the talismans from the Jackie Chan adventure.
Yeah.
animated series.
Oh my
Yes.
god.
Jackie.
That's so deep.
It's almost like, guys, is that a collection of random MacGuffins is a staple of storytelling.
Ooh!
And who am I to deny staples?
Yeah.
So yes, the Genesis relics, these powerful artifacts. There is 7 in existence, and you learn that if you brought them all together, you'd be granted a wish. You have one of them. And if you like, and we'll comment in a second, there is another one on the Academy grounds as well. But also, a bonus point, Christina, Verity, do you remember the name of your amulet itself? The actual name of it?
The heart of the ocean.
Heart of the Ocean. Door of the Hierophant's Oasis.
Oh.
Or Dotho, for short.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Yes. And you learn some more properties about it, how you obviously can travel through to what is now revealed to you to be called the Hierophant's Oasis, and you can essentially like scan, photocopy books into it as well, and they'll appear inside,
That's very nice.
which is fun. The other piece of information you learned from them was you learned about the prophesized end of the world, baby. It's a weird energy today. Do you remember what the name of this was?
I do.
I don't.
It's the Akmadoon.
Arkmadoon, yes. So you learn about Arkmadoon. Most of you kind of like, this doesn't sound like a real thing, but you were explaining to like there seems to be a weird duality. The quite commonly known, believed like creation myth of the world, which is called the Canticle of Dusk and Dawn. It's taught by the Abbey of Civility. Teaches how there was a previous world that had failed entirely. and the gods rescued a small group of people and brought them to the new world to create a new society. What's interesting about the prophesized end of the world is it seemed to describe the end of the previous world, but it's talking about this world. And it was hinted and quite heavily suggested, I think, by Yusra herself, that this speaks to a cycle of worlds starting and ending and continuing. Again, you kind of felt a little like bullshitty about this, so you're not quite convinced, but it is something that has been told to you. Also, while you were there, outside of the sitting room, there was a large garden where you saw a group of, another group of ragtag heroes sparring. Do you remember the names or the name of this group?
Tight and nice.
Tight and nice.
Oh.
Hot and sweaty.
I don't remember.
I got the
I'm
name
so
of,
bad at
of one of the members of it, but not
take
the
that
actual
one.
name.
Yeah,
of the
We'll
group.
start with that one.
Yeah.
start
One
with
of them was
one.
called. One of them was called Hamish.
Hamish, yes. So the sort of leader of the group, who you saw
yeah.
how the javelin that turned into a lightning bolt,
Massive challenge.
heavily hinted that this was the other Genesis relic on the property, is Hamish Baron Dawncaster,
Yeah.
who, overhearing, seems to be practically a carbon copy of Chad.
Yes.
But the group itself is called the Squad of Misfits.
Oh yeah. Correct.
Squad of Misfits. And they've been here for a long time, arriving over the last couple of years, and they've been training together for a while. Just was very much convinced that you guys kind of didn't need to be here. The Squad of Misfits could kind of do everything they needed to, but it was Eretha who kind of bigged you guys up and said you would need both of them. But very specifically, you do need 2 Genesis relics because there is a location within the library, a portal to a realm known as the Labyrinth Librarian, inside of which is a document that tells you the locations of the other 5 Genesis relics, which you were prompted that you would need to get to complete that of the quest. And the reason why you want to get hold of the Genesis relics was to prevent Archimedoon, quite frankly.
Nice.
But again, you were sort of umming and ahhing. You made your way to bed. You were staying in the place. They had like dorms you could stay in. And I think there was some contemplation about, do we want to step up to the plate, as it were, to take on this larger-than-life quest about saving the fate of the world? And that's kind of where we found ourselves as you all went to bed for the night. Now, at the very end of the session, we kind of jumped a little bit forward for the sake of a cliffhanger moment, where Tali, you were staying in the same room as Chad, once again keeping a watchful eye over our best vampy boy. And you cast tongues on him as you heard him starting to speak that sort of alien dialect in his sleep once again. And do you remember what it was revealed he was saying?
I do very much because it was the Archimedoon.
He said the exact same prophecy you had heard maybe an hour earlier from Yusra. He said the entirety of the prophecy of Archimedoon.
Happy days.
But that is our recap. So we kind of run around the game. So, like I said, we're jumping around a little time. So, is there anything you guys want to achieve together before you do take your sleep for the night?
Before
Fine, if you don't,
taking
we can just go straight to long resting if you want. But I'm just giving you a last chance since we kind of rushed to the end, I think, last time.
I can't think of.
So
I
if
think
you
as
don't want
soon as we would have found space and settled, Brass could just immediately fall asleep in the corner.
Excellent.
Even if
I
everybody
think
else is doing
Yeah, I
stuff.
think we might have implied that you fell asleep in a chair somewhere, like not even in
Yeah.
the room.
Yeah.
There's like a little like sofa area around the dorms. I think you were just asleep there.
That sounds like me.
It's been the longest of days.
Yes.
So yeah, Chad certainly is
You
very,
can't
very
count,
sleepy.
that's fine.
Pebbles
I
turned
think
into another creature.
Glasses of really good
even.
wine.
So yeah,
Yes.
Pebbles.
Yes, you
knackered.
got wine from the wine cellar, I remember. Sorry, what was that, Pebble?
Pebble suddenly discovered that he's a hobgoblin. He's
Yeah, you discovered you're a hobgoblin today. That's
yeah.
true.
Pebbles. Yeah, Pebbles tired, very tired,
That's
knackered.
fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're sleeping. Christine, anything you want to do before you bed down for the night?
No, I think I'm gonna sleep and be
You
like,
sleep tonight? Yeah.
yeah.
Take it all in. Again, longest
Yeah.
day you've ever had. Busiest day of your lives. I'm not surprised. And Tom, anything you want to do?
Well, like, if this is sort of retroactive, it means that Tali wouldn't
bit.
know about Chad just yet. That's
But
fine.
we can kind of jump around all of it. Like you can do something as you hear about Chad or before then.
Basically, I mean, Tali just wants to do. She wants to leave most of it for the next day because she's very
That's
tired. But she wants to go and find. This is a massive library with other
Yes.
stuff. You want to go see if there's any books on Yisbaroth or
Mhm.
more on the end of the world or
Yeah.
or vampirism. I guess.
Sure. And is that what you want to do right now or tomorrow, like you said?
She wants. She probably will want to do it in the
In the day.
no in like now.
Okay, now. Okay.
In the
Sure.
evening times.
That's fair. Are you trying to be quiet about this? Like you can see that any noise in the house has died down as it has turned to nighttime, and
She's trying to be like respectfully quiet. Like she's not
Okay.
something around, but she's not really sneaking. She just wants to be a bit more well informed because
Yeah.
there's loads of stuff she's heard about that she doesn't understand.
Yeah.
She just wants to see if there's any reading.
Okay, that's fine. And just to align this in our sort of loosey goosey timeline here, is this happening after you hear about Chad talking on before?
Let's say yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yes. Okay. So you. Well, can I ask you a question then? Are you comfortable leaving Chad by himself while you go off to sneak out and read books?
Shit. Probably not. Okay, I guess I don't do anything. I guess we pray. I guess we pray to Intin.
Okay. Not trying to shut down your thing,
No,
but
that's a
it's.
fair point. I don't think she would want to leave. So
I mean, especially while he's gargling in his sleep about the end of the world.
Yeah,
I imagine, and you. It's very much. It is that kind of language. It's very much like black speech from Lord of the Rings, like "Lost to us not."
Oh, so
Yeah,
it's
fair point.
Hatties, but without being.
Your wrist twitches backward and like rotates 180, like crawling up the wall.
She's gonna pray, however. She's gonna get up in the middle of the night and she's gonna pray.
Yes.
She was gonna leave this till later, but it seems too urgent now.
She's gonna go. Oh Lord, that's the prayer.
A little bit.
Ish.
Yeah, and kind of, I guess asking Intin, asking for guidance on the Archimatude. It's true, it doesn't seem to make much sense because it would mean that you would lose to Fulshul every time. And that's not how it's supposed to be. And also, it seems that maybe Yisbaroth and vampirism is related. So just a general sort of, what's going on? Can I get some information?
Yeah, quite literally, Intin helped me.
A little bit, but she has all these questions. Like Tali just doesn't know what to do. So
Sure.
any guidance from you?
Yeah, so you sort of pray quietly to yourself.
What should I do in this? Kind of.
Yeah. Make me. Let's call it a wisdom religion check.
Wow.
Wisdom religion
that.
check. What does that mean?
Well, religion is normally an intelligence check, but this is more about leaning on your knowledge of religion, but also your genuine faith.
So what's the modifier for it?
Are you proficient in religion skill?
Yes.
Okay, so it will be your wisdom plus your proficiency modifier. So you can use something like perception or insight if you are.
Oh damn! No. So proficiency bonus plus wisdom modifier.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we'll take that.
Yeah. Something like if you're proficient in something like insight, you can just click that skill because it's the same. It'll be the same thing.
Can I guidance myself?
Sure, I'll allow that.
You give yourself a
Just-
pep talk.
Just
You can
I'm
do
just
it.
getting ready, getting prepared, being.
You
in
sort of
one-
glance over and in the nervous nighttime Tali form.
You can do this, Tali.
You look at Chad crawling up the walls. You're like, oh, please, God, I need help.
Yeah.
This is going to be the silly episode where who knows if anything's canon because it's all brain melt stuff.
No, do
I
I
like
just
it,
use
I
my
like
do I just use my inspiration time?
We're not putting this episode on YouTube. This is just going to be deleted. We're just going to just start again next week.
Oh, somebody clip it.
Take
Over my
two.
console.
Yes, do I just use my inspiration dice? Because I didn't roll that well, to be fair. I feel like
Bless you,
it's
Ryan.
in.
Second.
Sorry, but Ryan sneezed. Just
Oh, bless you,
Oh.
bless you.
Oh.
A very
Um,
silent sneeze.
Intin blesses you.
Yeah,
Yeah, indeed.
for sure.
Tali reaches out to Intin, but Brass get the vision.
It was ectoplasm.
I might just use it because I feel like it's important enough to Tali.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't roll that. I rolled okay,
Yeah.
but I didn't roll well enough.
Yes. Okay. So you sit there again, nighttime Harley, the anxious, nervous version of you. Like, I really need some help right now. This is way too much for me to take over.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to
take on.
do. I'm not sure what my calling is supposed to be, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
I'm supposed to help. And if this isn't real, do I trust anyone? Why didn't I get a Genesis relic? You know, I just want to know.
Hang of jealousy, kind of just streaking down the middle.
Yeah.
Also, I
Um,
imagine it's more like, I mean, you have like mad respect to Intin, of course, but it's like, Intin, like, what's going on? Why wasn't
Yeah,
I aware
exactly.
of
It's like I don't
this?
understand. This
Like,
doesn't
yeah.
match up.
Yeah, the thing, mad respect for Intin, definitely one thing. But the thing about Intin is, unlike the gods of the Abbey of Civility, there's lots of writings about their intentions, wants, desires, and whether that's true or not, at least there's things you can read about them. Intin has been such a buried kind of entity within the sort of pantheon. Like, you can't just read a book about Intin. Like, it's all intuitive stuff. You don't know what Intin wants, what their beliefs, their desires are. You just know they gave you magic powers and kind of set you out of a task in the world, but you don't know the reasons behind that. They are, in a kind of roundabout sense, and I don't mean this in the kind of the more common negative sense, but they kind of are that eldritch kind of being, that they are cosmic in scope
Unknowable
and
in a way.
unknowable, ineffable.
Okay. So it's not a case that it would make you, you know, kind of angry to not know this, because Intin is just like...
No, it's kind of used to this at this point,
Yeah.
but it just feels like
Fair
a
enough.
big enough thing that like Tali prays all the time, but doesn't always result.
Yes.
Right.
But yes, you reach out in this moment. Trying to think what you get back from this.
A little consideration. Sorry.
Yeah, I think you pray silently in this moment, and you feel that connection. Like, you sometimes do, you sometimes don't, and you're sometimes not sure when you do reach out to Intin. But in this moment, you are certain that you have connected with them in their kind of, again, cosmic scope of their being, and you don't get like a "Hi, Tali, this is what's going on." Like,
I got a picture last time. I got a drawing last time. So
you get a picture last time, so you know they again move in mysterious ways, but you feel the sense of comfort and calm kind of wash over you. It reminds you of a parent.
Oh, nice.
It reminds you of like when, as a child, when like a confusing situation has arisen, something that is kind of beyond your age to comprehend, and a parent kind of comforts you and says, "It's okay, it'll be fine. I know you can't understand this right now, but trust me in that we will get through this together." And you start to feel that kind of comfort wash over you. And as you do... Huh?
I don't want the world to end though, because that's happened all the other times. But continue. Comfort and calm.
Yes.
Sure.
I guess I also get a sense of, like, don't worry, I have a plan. It kind of what comes into this. And it calms you down, Tali, to a point where, as you are sitting there meditating, you do drift to sleep.
Oh, nice. No, basically, Tali receives a little kiss on the forehead.
A little hug.
Yeah.
Little,
And a
okay.
dosage of anxiety medication.
Yeah.
Injected directly into your mind. But as you are there, like, drifting within your sort of mind and consciousness, and you feel that connection to Intin kind of like fade as you kind of fall asleep. Your mind starts drifting back through memories, trying to find a situation, kind of as I described, of being young, and a situation you don't fully understand that is complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And a little flashback for Tali. So kind of like, if you imagine like the camera almost like pans into Tali's face as you're kind of like drifting to sleep, and it kind of pans out, and as it does, we realize that we're now looking at a 10-year-old Tali. Baby Tali, dropping about 10 years back. As it pulls back, you are sat in this quite ornate like chair in a small abbey. Tali, you know that you are in the Abbey of St. Markov in North Kostrand. And this is the abbey where you were raised and grew up. This is where you were proselytized as this godling that people came to visit for wisdom and guidance. And the nuns here trained you and taught you and did their best to look after you, but as a godling child, there's always this weird disconnect where even the people raising you are not able to talk to you directly, so they have to talk about you. It is strange. But in this particular moment, there is a man standing before you. Kneeling, sorry, not standing. He is wearing this very functional armor, as is the North Kostranic style. Unlike Riverdanians, like Chad's family, who have this kind of they're ornate armor, lots of accoutrement, lots of like capes and gold and stuff like this. You see a man wearing almost like slate grey steel armor. There is a small like sash of blue, just to show some sort of like rank or maybe family, but beyond that it is function over form. This is a man who had introduced himself to you as General Harris, and in this moment he's asking advice from you. I do not know how to approach the situation that is before us. We have located a coven of apostates holding hostage, holding outside of Datton Ward. We understand that they are holding children hostage. My men are armed and ready to raid the caves which they are in, but I do not know how to approach it in such a way that they will not slaughter all of the children there. We can come at them a scorched earth policy and run the risk of these children passing, or we could just set fire to the caves, pour oil in there, and make sure none get out. I know it is our duty to make sure apostates are cleansed from this country beyond all else. But my heart pangs for these children, these hostages they are holding. I need your wisdom. I feel weak and paralyzed by these. Am I being a fool for trying to hold on to this kindness for these children or not? And you see, he's kind of looking at the floor when he says all this, and he's kind of like talking his problems out to him, as if like praying to a god. He's just sort of exclaiming things he wants advice about, and a situation he doesn't know how to handle.
Okay, quick question: is it daytime or nighttime in this flash?
Roll a perception check.
Well, I mean, I would know because
I know, but roll a perception check. A bit more going on.
Perception, an 8.
An 8.
Yes.
Yes. So you are daytime entirely right now. Okay. The reason why I asked you a perception check is I wanted you to kind of have a look, like, see if you could tell what kind of time of day it was. But you're not sure right now.
I see it.
But yes, you are daytime, and as you know, like, you only are ever rolled out in daytime time because your nighttime form is almost alien to what a godling typically is. So you are in your daytime form.
Good. Yeah. So this 10-year-old.
Yes. Yeah. This guy, by the way, he must be like, he's a decorated general. There are a few medals on his armor, and he looks to be mid to late 50s. And he's asking a 10-year-old for advice on whether or not to essentially kill children in the name of cleansing apostates from the country.
Yay! It's fine. We're equipped for this. It's okay. Baby Tali is like, well, the children haven't done anything wrong. They're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you do have you're the savior, you're the hero who's cleansing apostates. You have a duty to try and save the innocents. It's through no fault of their own. Perhaps you could try and talk to the apostates, negotiate something to get the children out, and then it's it's up to you what you do after that.
There is a sort of look, almost like you see his head twist in a certain way of maybe shock, maybe disbelief that you might have that you might have suggested talking to the apostates. But he doesn't say anything. Carry on.
I mean, so the kind of thing I'm going for is so baby Tali is trying, essentially, by not realizing it, but is essentially saying, talk to the apostates, get the children out, and then you can kill them if you want. You don't have to uphold your deal. But she doesn't quite realize that that's what she's advocating for because she's 10.
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I understand what you mean, but it's actually there almost is this kind of disbelief, it seems, in the idea of even talking to the apostates. And as he kind of finished, sort of like, we have been strictly forbidden from engaging contact. That's how they corrupt you. If you speak to an apostate, you might catch their magic.
Could you write it down, send a note? I doubt they'll do anything with note. And you could have one of your justicars, one of the people, like a person to check if this note has been magicked in any way, so it's safe. Tali doesn't see how you will protect the children if you can't get them out of there first.
He seems like he's sort of vaguely listening as you suggested that, and then you hear the children like, what if they've corrupted the children? Oh, what if they've
But children are malleable, they're young, we can re-educate.
It's just as susceptible as anyone else's magic. Oh,
Well, that's not true.
As you're having this conversation, there's two nuns in this room with you who are sort of attendants to you, again, because of your young age. And you do see that they approach with their head bowed low, kind of reverent, and they sort of say, would Tali mind if I interjected just for a moment?
Tali doesn't mind.
Just sort of mutter thank you under the breath again, kind of at you, but almost not wanting to say out loud. And then she just turns just gently to General Harris, like, General Harris, the hour is growing late. The godling, they are getting tired. If you have more concerns, and if your answers are not being addressed here, then perhaps I suggest coming back tomorrow and coming in the morning. You can spend more time. There's kind of a twitch towards you, again, not wanting to look at you. Roll me an insight check.
It's very quiet. It's very like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like a child sort of pushing back against their parent.
Yeah, insight check. 22.
22.
Oh.
You say that, and you see this kind of look up, and they kind of reveal this. This nun is wearing like a veil, but you do catch like a little glimpse of parts of their face. The nun looks nervous, and you realise, you then kind of catch the window, and you realise the sun is starting to set.
Oh.
And you realise that it's not about you being tired, it's nothing to do with you, is that this nun is trying to protect you.
Oh.
This nun is trying to get General Harris out of here.
Mm.
And it seems like maybe General Harris has overstayed his welcome, so to speak.
Yeah, I guess I was like, oh. Harley is what's wrong?
Just for fun of it, roll me a
Harley's
deception or
very
performance check.
tired. Oh, that was not a good roll. Performance or deception, right?
I roll, yes.
1.
1, excellent.
1. Not natural, but 1.
Right.
You see that General Harris kind of like turns his head towards the nun, like, how dare you? I am in the middle. This is important. There are children at risk. There are apostates. Our decree demands we must answer this. And then you yawn, like, there is a look of indignity on the face of someone superior to him but also a child. And it was just kind of this man, again, decorated general, looks like he's been made a mockery of in this moment. It's like, he said, you were an oracle, that you were divine in your wisdom. I feel like I'm being run around in circles.
And
And he
Tali
starts
does
to
something.
stand up.
Tali like steps forward and like puts her hands on his shoulders,
Okay, so yeah, before he stands up, you kind of...
which I'm
yeah.
assuming kind of stops him. Like Tali is an oracle, and Tali does have divine wisdom, but life is complicated, and ultimately, you have to trust that you have everything you need to make the right choice. Tali is an advisor, but you know, if your faith is strong, and then you have everything you need.
Roll me a persuasion check.
That's like a 5, I think.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
There's this, like, a pause, like, you have put your hand on him. And it's just like... that you see again, look on his face of, like, he doesn't understand what's happening here. Because you have essentially overstepped what is usual for a godling.
Yes.
They don't... Yeah, you've deliberate, and you've done it as a kind of a gesture of trying to calm him down, trying to prove your position. But it seems like in this moment, like, he's almost seems to doubt. Like, there's confirmation bias going on. He was hoping for a certain kind of direction information. You've gone a much more peaceful route, which is then kind of against him. Now you've done something that is ungodling-like, and that's kind of like, you see this kind of fusion, you see him sort of slowly rising.
Well, sometimes touching people, I feel like Tali, it's like a you should be honored. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, should be that. But he doesn't think that this is a moment in which he should be honored. Like, there's some sort of disconnect going on with him, and he stands up and he just looks at you, which is not something you're supposed to do. Like, and then just turns to one of the nuns, like, this oracle is, I don't know, too young. This is a farce. This is, and then there is this blue glow as runes start to cover your skin, Tali. The room fills up with light. You see the other nun who's been staring out the window, looks over with this look of fear. You can just, even with a veil on her face, you can see it kind of glaring through.
It tries to
the veil.
hide, steps back, trying to hide behind one of the nuns.
But the light glows, and you see General Harris look at you and go, "What are you? This is no godling. This."
Tali is a godling. You don't believe?
Looks with disbelief at the nuns, like, what's this? Is this a cambion? What is this? And he draws his sword in the room, and you know, like, this is a man, like, these are unarmed nuns. There's a 10-year-old child here, and there's a decorated general who's drawn his sword. It's like, that thing must die before it. And he points the sword toward the nuns, like, before you allow it to corrupt any more people. How much have you been steering the direction through this being? Are you even in control of it, or is it in control of you? Turns to you like, you're probably not even a child, are you? Some deception. Someone just starts walking towards you with this sword drawn.
Tali just starts crying.
Okay.
Like, she's 10, and this guy is talking about killing her, and she's like, but I didn't do anything. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to help. She just starts crying.
Yeah. You just start bawling. You see walking towards, like, no more lies. No more deceptions.
He tries to back away as he walks.
There, you back away as far as you can, but you're on a small raised dais, and then there is a wall. This is not a big room. You do hit the big heavy flagstone wall, and this man holding this very, again, not decorative. This is a functional sword above anything else.
She probably is on kind of, I guess, looking at the nuns, looking at the guy, and she's like, Tali doesn't believe. He's a heretic. And looking at the nuns to be like, because he's like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Make me just a charisma check.
I'm not gonna
You sort of shout out, he's a heretic.
Um, wait, what was that a
Charisma check.
charisma? Just a charisma split
Yes.
flat. 11.
11, okay. You shout out as best you can, but your voice kind of wavers in this cry, like, he's a heretic! This man just comes,
Believe.
sword drawn, is like, Cambion will try any trick. You'll turn the faith against us.
Like Cambion.
And you watch as he goes to raise his sword to strike.
Harley follows Intin.
And as you say that, sword rises, and there is this smashing noise as you watch as one of the nuns has taken like an urn and just smashed it across the back of his head.
Yeah, she really closed her eyes in
Yeah.
typical fashion. I'm like,
And again, another act, like sacrilegious act, taking an urn from this abbey in an effort to protect you, he smashed it across General Harris's back of his head. You see him kind of like blow to the side. There is like blood pouring down the back of his head now as this porcelain like thing is smashed into his head. He turns, the sword drawn, like, indoctrinated by this fiend. Just goes, weapon drawn.
I tackle him.
Ooh, roll me an athletics check.
Yes.
Now, this will
Baby
be a
Charlie,
contested
good
roll.
fight.
Yeah.
Well, I say that, but I'm not rolling very good today. Athletics.
Yeah,
8.
8. He got 16. So you run up and like grab his legs, but it does
Can I grab
nothing
his
to
arm
him.
that has, like,
Yeah, you're holding the arm like that's holding the sword back.
You can't do that.
He'll slay all of you for this, and he just pulls his arm free. And you watch as he goes to strike down against the nun who just hit him with his arm. And as he does, there is a clash of a sword against a shield. As without you realizing, a Justicar has come into the room and it just blocked him off. It's like, stand down, General Harris!
Charlie's running around behind the
You have no authority here.
hiding behind the Justicar.
And you watch as pouring into this room are several Justicars. You are familiar with these men. They are some of the few people who know about your sort of duality nature. They are trusted to protect you from situations very much like this. These men, they effectively do not outrank General Harrods, but you watch as they very quickly disarm him, get him into like an arm lock, and they take him out of the room as he is swearing and blinding, talking about how he'll have everyone's heads for this, and they can't do this, he outranks them. There is like, he's just pulling all this kind of military rank, but it's being completely ignored.
Charlie is just like, Charlie's sorry! So just like, everybody.
You see the nun who hit the General Harrods on the head, a somewhat younger nun compared to the other ones here. She comes over to you and genuinely puts her hands on your shoulders and looks at you. It's like, it's okay, child. It's okay.
Charlie didn't mean to do anything wrong.
Charlie didn't. You didn't do anything wrong. There are just some people in this world who... There are people who want the Abbey's teachings to be black and white, right and wrong. They want things to be easy and simple, and it just isn't that. It's so rarely is this world black and white. There's so much complexity. You are a testament to that, child. Things are more complicated than people would seem. I'm sorry this happened to you. Let's get you somewhere. Let's get you out of here. And she kind of just lifts you up and just carries you out. And this
Sniffles, yeah.
yeah. This woman, by the way, has never broken her role before now.
Aw.
She has, again, smashed an urn and has suddenly turned into this almost like more of a big sister figure, I guess, but has broken the sacred bond that she's supposed to have in serving you, and has treated you like a human being in this moment.
That's nice.
She takes you back to your, essentially, what would be your quarters, and puts you into bed, and just sort of gently touches you on the head, like, everything will be okay, I promise.
Charlie not show people gestures.
I don't know, Charlie. The gods have... Their plans are beyond us. It is not always for us to know what Proctor, the Court of the Gods, or even Intin has planned for us, but We must hold tight to our faith that they have a plan. And through one way or another, they will show us the right path. She then sort of gently touches you on the head. And she sort of turns to walk away, and then she, without looking, goes, I apologize to the Goblin for breaking my role. I hope they forgive me.
Charlie doesn't mind.
Good. And then she leaves the room. And this sort of memory/dream leaves you in this kind of situation of reminding that things relating to religion, the gods, everything is always complicated. There are blurred lines. It is never black and white. And then you are reminded of the fact that there's this cycle that you are now hearing about, and why would Intin allow this happen? You don't know. But you just have to have faith that Intin has a plan, whatever that be.
Yeah, I think Charlie
That you're
kind of sees
working
it as
towards
like,
it.
there's a plan, and I'm here for a reason, so there must be something I should be doing here. And like, this is where I need to be right now.
Yeah. And we draw away from this memory of Tarly's. And the camera pans across the room to Chad. Chad, you are obviously in the midst of talking in your sleep. And as we kind of as we zoom down into you and your experience, that whatever corruption, darkness is working through you sends your mind reading back to an unpleasant memory. And not too long ago, we throw ourselves back to just a couple of months ago, to the event that made you decide that you wanted a break from it all. You're going to go to Dowbridge and not even necessarily carve a new life out for yourself, but just kind of experience something outside of your family home. You are in your bedroom. You are in your family estate. It is the evening, and you know that your father is having some very important guests around for dinner. These are friends of your father's. In this moment, you've never overly paid attention to all of the politics, so it's one of the counts or viscounts of one of the neighbouring towns. They're going to talk politics, but you know that you have to have a show of face, because the whole family needs to be rigid and united and together in these moments. So, what does Chad do in his room to kind of get ready for this what will undoubtedly be a incredibly important but ultimately boring evening?
Well, he's got an extremely large mirror in the room, and he's doing that kind of typical thing that in like that like female leads do in sort of rom-coms and things, where he's got his full wardrobe of clothes out, and he's laid out a bunch of different outfit options out on the bed, and he's sort of trying sort of holding them up in front of him in the mirror to try and figure all that stuff out.
As we sort of like the camera essentially like zooms in on the mirror, and we see Chad standing there holding up these outfits. There is something different about Chad to where we see him now. There's a bit more colour in his skin, which is unsurprising for someone who is currently not a vampire. But Chad obviously has this kind of like slightly flowing red hair. It is cut short. It's very cropped, like military cut at this time. Under your father's orders, you have this incredibly cut, you're not an old man, I think you're late teenagers, but incredibly clean shaven, which I think Chad keeps now. But yeah, the hair is just cropped incredibly short. You just about see the red of it, but it's almost bald. And it seems like a sense of your individuality, which has maybe come out later, and this kind of growing of your hair has been completely stripped away from you here. And although you're going through your wardrobe of clothes, there's not a lot of options here. Like, there's a lot of very similar looking outfits.
Well, and it's and it's not a case of being like there's no kind of excitement in the being like, oh, I should wear this. Oh, because that'll look really lovely. It's a it's a kind of right, great. So I can choose between the the crimson tunic, or I can choose between the burgundy tunic. Great. Okay, and it's kind of this moment of going, okay, well, this is really all my life is, and all my life is probably going to be under the shadow of father.
I imagine what your wardrobe looks like is there's probably like there are clothes that you have bought because you are an adult. You have your own money. You have probably bought these kind of very regal looking outfits that you never get to wear, and there is kind of this forlonging look as you're kind of going for this wardrobe of like 2/3 of your wardrobe is these outfits you wish you could wear, the kind of these individuality, and then there's a small handful of like, do I wear the dark grey or the navy blue for wear kind of thing. And again, although as I mentioned earlier, Riverdanian have always kind of flourish and formality, your family do seem to be on sort of the lower end of that. There is kind of there is always the flair, the kind of gold like epaulets and stuff like this, but your family seems a bit more bronze or copper, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's almost like the philosophy handed down from Chakronitheus the First is okay. Well, rule and lead by example rather than by your actions rather than by your belongings. It's demonstrate your status by what you do, but not how you present yourself.
Yeah, your family has been hardened by military affairs for its history, even stretching back beyond Chakronitheus the First. Whereas a lot of the other Riverdanian nobles are much more frivolous. They're kind of like very like Renaissance kind of period of like big poofy kind of shoulders and the kind of like the things around that. Like there's a lot of that. Whereas your family is we're fancy military essentially.
Yeah, we're old money, but we're old money that's also worked.
Yes.
So it's. So what's Chad doing in terms of getting ready for this evening of that it's basically that having a bit of longing for the the excitement and adventure and independence that these other outfits and things represent, and of course off in the corner is probably propped up. Would Chad be allowed to keep his sword and shield with him?
You would probably be expected to have your sword with you, definitely.
Yeah.
The shield. The thing about the shield is very good at representing your family when you're out and about. There probably are hundreds of your family's shield on the walls already. So you don't need to represent the family crest.
Yeah.
But the sword, I mean, you would know this in Riverdanian society. Only nobles can wield swords. If a peasant ever wields a sword, they're probably put to death or have their hands chopped off at the very least.
Yeah.
And so your family takes that to the extreme of like you should always be seen with a sword because you need to remind the people that you are a noble family, that you are the only ones allowed to do this. So.
Yeah. So looking at the sword and particularly the sword over on its sort of rest on the wall, and just sort of thinking about the duality of what it represents. It represents the discipline and the order and the lifestyle, but also it represents the promise of action and things that Chad wants. So it's kind of like it's both tethering and also liberating. And also Chad's he's 19. Well, 18, turning 19, depending on when his birthday is. He's got a little bit of he's got a little stash of some booze under his four-poster bed. So he's gonna be having a little bit of a cheeky,
amazing,
a cheeky bit of probably wine. I was thinking like vodka. There probably isn't any vodka in Riverdan, so he's probably just got a bit of wine just to.
Here's the thing, like your family
boost himself up a little bit beforehand.
Your family's wealthy as they are, that you'd have wine quite regularly as a family, and you probably could ask the servants get you wine. I would imagine if Chad has a cheeky stash of something, it's probably not wine. It probably is something like maybe not vodka, but it could be like some sort of schnapps or something, like Riverdanian schnapps or something that your family.
Yeah.
Or yeah, or like a Tumbling County cider, something that is not proper, I think.
Yeah, aside. No, it's even better than that. It's even better than that.
Go on.
It's
Gigabot.
some of he has squirreled away some of Chadronethius' senior's whiskey
Ooh.
Yes.
that he shouldn't have.
Yes.
And he's got some of that. So he's
Yeah, you
Yeah.
sort of like siphoned some of it and like put a bit of water back in the bottle, kind of thing. And like, I imagine this is something that because Chadronethius II, he fought in the Costrandic Civil War, and I think maybe he got it as like a military honor from a Costrandic general, maybe General Hammerets, who knows? But he was given it as like a recognition of skills from them, and it's something he's kept like pride of place on like the mantelpiece and drinks it maybe like a shot once a year kind of thing, and like he is saving it. So you've kind of still a little tip of like he doesn't drink it anyway. Like why? Like
Yeah, exactly. So
Actually, in fact, I don't think it's not like he has one bottle. Like I think he helps like save a town, and that town sends him a bottle every year
yeah,
as like an ongoing like thank you so much. They send him a bottle every year, and he drinks privately, never lets anyone else have any. And so you've like, oh, you get one of these every year. I'll just yeah. I think that's what it is.
yeah. Which simultaneously is an act of rebellion and also of imitation.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Excellent.
So yeah,
No
that's
trouble with
that's what Chad's doing.
Yes, and then you head downstairs to the probably like the second dining room or something like that to effect. Where you, as you kind of walk down the stairs, you do find that standing outside of a closed door to the dining room, where you can hear like maybe pleasant chatter going on inside. Your father is standing there, identical cropped hair, wearing effectively the same clothes as you are. And as you approach, he slaps you across the face.
Whoa.
You feel like he's not one for jewelry, but he does have a couple of rings. One of them splits part of your cheek and cuts it. It's like, how dare you be late for this dinner of all dinners? Choosing between two outfits, were you? What were you doing up there? Understand how important it is. This dinner with the Viscount of Augustia, one of the most important dinners that you will ever be witness to. And you embarrass me by being... He kind of looks towards, maybe like a grandfather clock on the wall, like 7 minutes late.
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. It won't happen again. It won't happen again.
That's what I thought. He pulls out a handkerchief and just like very roughly just cuts over the cut and just cuts the blood off that. And he lifts your head like, chin up. And you look strong. And then he turns and walks in. And as he opens the door, he's like, this voice just changes, like, Lord Timbolth, I'm terribly sorry. You know what young boys are like and preening and stuff. I present to you my son, Chadronethius III.
Good evening. Please accept my apologies for being so late. I meant absolutely no disrespect.
And you see, like, this is a massive dining table that probably can fit like 20 people in it. And there is, at the moment, 3 people there. Your mother, this Lord Timolth, who is just, he looks to be maybe mid-60s. Like, you see kind of like fluffy grey sideburns, hair that kind of goes round and down. This guy is not like prim and proper like your father. A massive balding patch, white rotund, he wears an interesting mix of what is Riverdanian finery, but also like Costrandic style clothing. He seems like maybe his heritage is from a mix of both. And it's like, and he's got like a small glass of like port or sherry or something. Like, no, it's quite fine with me, honestly. I couldn't give a toss. And just takes a sip of this, and you just see a man who clearly is not bothered by the fact that you are late.
Yeah,
and all this pomp and circumstance about timing is your father wanting to appear as your father wants. It's not for the sake of Lord Augustia, it's for the sake of being who your father is.
Chad is gonna hear and see that response, is gonna sort of look at his father and be like, Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kindness, your lordship. I really do appreciate your patience. You're very, very kind. This will not happen again. I did not mean to bring it in. And yeah, Chad is very much still like
playing the part. You can
playing
see
the
there
part.
is a seat placed out for you. You can see that you're basically taking over like an end of a table. Your father is clearly going to sit at the head of the table. To his right is Lord Timolf, the Viscount of Augustria. Across from him is your mother. Then a seat for you, and across from you is Lord Timolf's daughter, Emily. Emily Timolf. You see this young 13-year-old girl
No.
who's sat there. She looks like she doesn't know what's going on. She's sat there with a knife and fork that's way too big for her, and she is like eating some like appetizers, essentially, as it were. As you can see, like, the food has already been served a little bit. And you take your seat opposite her. She gives you this very kind of like nervous, coy smile. Like, yeah, this isn't where she wants to be. She doesn't know what she's doing here. And then you see your father sits down across from Lord Timolf, and you can see a conversation starts between them.
Chad is not even going to look. He's going to have like an initial like Emily. You said
Yes.
Initially see Emily, sees the smile, and just immediately looks away and doesn't make eye contact with her at all.
Yeah, that makes sense. As everyone sits down, your father picks up a glass of red wine, and I think before we begin, a somber toast to Henri's late wife. You can see that there is a sort of like everyone holds a glass up of whatever they're drinking. You can see Lord Timolf, Henri Timolf. There's a somber look on his face, and you start to wonder if maybe he's drinking heavily because he's trying to forget some grievance. And there is sort of like, we don't have to do this, please. And he sort of holds it up anyway. And your father's like, no, this is important. It's important to remember the reason why we're here. Hope she finds a place in the Hall of the Gods. And then they sit down, and conversation starts. And you see food comes down. There's some sort of genuine conversation. Roll me either an insight or perception check. See if how much you pick up from your sort of like sulking position of what the conversation is going on.
Let's do insight. Natural 20.
Amazing. You don't normally care for dinners like this, but a sting of being slapped across the face and being cut with a ring, it does like sharpen your attention. Like, your father doesn't always act like this, but does sometimes. When he does this sort of thing, you're like, okay, I need to be on everything. I need to know, like, I'm not part of that conversation, but I'm part of that conversation.
Yeah, he's not just all business. There is clearly something else going on here.
There's something else going on here, and you know, lack of a better term, you might be quizzed on this later. It's the sort of thing like your father wants you to be like, as a military general, like, aware of your surroundings, and like your father's never been one for like pleasant dinners, and you've been there before. Like, you've been to a hall, like this hall has been filled, and he's asked you to tell you what two lords down the other end of the table have said. Because your father pays attention to politics in a way that he doesn't like playing the game, but he sees it as warfare. And in warfare, you are aware of what all your enemies are doing, and that's where your mind goes right now. It's like, right, I don't like you don't know if Henri Timolf here is an enemy, an ally. You're not sure what in this warfare version of politics your father plays, but right now, like, I listen to every word he says. And they kind of they're talking, and you can see it again. And he brings up the wife. It's like, oh, can't we just have a pleasant evening before we get on there? I was like, look, I have. We're in a stuck situation. I'm too old to try again, and I got no heirs that are old enough. And you realise this conversation very quickly is taking a shape of Lord Henri Timolf, wife has passed, he's an older man. And knowing what you would know about politics of the land, Emily is too young to be considered the heir of Augustria. So when Lord Timolf passes, there would be a complicated situation that comes up. This can be resolved if you have what? Hold on a minute. Let me just check something. World building doc. Yes, if you have what's called a steward. A steward can basically rule in the state of someone until they come of age, or in any situation where someone can't rule their county. And then you hear something that makes like your spine chill, as your father says, "Well, if my son was to marry your daughter, he could become the steward of Augustria until such a time that Emily would be able to come and rule herself." And you can see the back and forth conversation, and you learn what your father's getting out of this is essentially in Riverdalian politics there are 7 counties, and then the capital, and the head of each house, each county, gets a vote. Essentially, how this works. So only the titled landowners can vote in the politics land. Your father is one person who can vote, as is Lord Timoth. If you were to become the steward of Augustria, that would make Augustria essentially a vassal of 13, which means you kind of become like a voting bloc. You have a bit more sway. One of the things your father hates about the way Riverdale works is that the family that's in charge, so who is the current Baron of Riverdale, their family runs 2 other counties as well. So there is a kind of voting block already happening, and this would kind of put you on stead to kind of step up to that. So your father gets out of this is if basically you're in charge of Augustria, he's assuming that you would just follow his lead in politics.
Yeah.
And you would be old enough to be the steward and be the heir, and then any children you and Emily have would naturally become part of the Riverdalian family, the 13 family, but would be in charge of Augustria. And then suddenly the 13 family is in charge of 2 counties. And this conversation goes back. There's some like smaller negotiations about maybe like how like certain land borders work, but that's where the conversation starts, the big news, and then kind of goes into the weeds. How is Chad feeling about that?
So Chad is looking he's looking at his plate, and he is making going through the motions. He's not eating, but he's going through the motions of making it. If someone was listening to him, they would hear the sounds of silverware and things.
Yeah.
Chad's still not going to be looking at. This is obviously terrifically embarrassing apart from anything else.
Yeah.
He's still not going to look at Emily. But would you want me to roll another insight check just to see if even from sound, if I can hear anything from how Emily's like? Has she stopped stopped eating or anything like that?
Roll me an insight check, yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll give you advantage because, as we please establish, you're very good at kind of like listening to, essentially courtroom situations, this has kind of become.
I didn't need the advantage because that's a 22 and a 21. So yeah.
You're listening to what she's doing without looking at her, and you recognise the pattern of someone going through the motions of, I'm having a nice dinner, and I'm eating along, and again, really not wanting to be there.
Yeah.
You start to also kind of like backwards realise like the reason why she couldn't look at you is she must have been aware of this situation coming into this.
Yeah.
Why your father didn't tell you, you don't know, but she was clearly aware of it, and that's why she kind of like gave you the polite smile, but then didn't really want to look at you. As what a terrifying situation it is to be like, you must marry this man who is 6 years older than you. You are a 13-year-old child, so you can make sure that when I die, because your mother's gone, this land is still owned by ourselves.
Yeah. Cool.
As you are going through the motions, however, you feel a hand on your wrist as your mother gives you kind of like a reassuring like squeeze. Like,
cool. I'm gonna He will respond warmly to that. He'll look at his mum. And what's Chad's mum's name?
We've never established this, have we?
We've never established this.
Let's I've got a random name table here. Let me. How very sexist of us. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
To never
I
establish.
mean, it is coming from a place of Chad is.
Yeah.
He's not the least sexist guy in the whole world.
No.
Um,
We'll make fun out of this though. Roll me a percentile dice. A D100. So we'll find out because of the random table here.
D100. 13.
13. Lucky number 13. Her name is Amelot.
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 Is
Or
she a lot?
Amelot. It might be Amelot, I guess.
Amelot.
It's a French twang.
Yeah. Amelo.
Hello.
Yeah, and we're gonna share a kind of a brave smile.
Mhm.
And sort of
Yeah, in this moment, it's probably never maybe occurred to you before, but you suddenly kind of wonder if maybe your mum was an arranged marriage as well.
Yeah.
And it kind of starts to dawn on you like, oh, there is quite an age difference between my mum and my dad. Like things like this, and that's where you suddenly, that reassuring squeeze suddenly tells you a lot about your parents' relationship in just that instant.
Yeah. Excellent. Is father saying anything that requires a direct response from Chad?
No.
Or is it very much he's just there
to
bear witness?
What your father is talking about is things where he is entirely confident that you are consensual in this.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about things that you have to agree to, but he's just going through it as if there is no doubt in his mind that you would do this. So he's just making agreements on your behalf, but really his behalf. Without you, you start to realize, oh, this is why you needed to be here. This is why you embarrassed him for being late, more so than any other meeting you've been to before.
Cool.
Yeah. Is there anything you do, or do you kind of just ride out this awkward dinner?
It's Chad would be absolutely terrified at this point of doing anything that could break protocol or anything. This is a
dinner goes by. It's a long dinner. It feels exceedingly long. Like you, more than you ever have done, you feel trapped. Like you know in your heart you don't want this, but you know in your mind your father desperately wants this, and like you don't know what to do in this moment.
Yeah.
Dinner resolves, and you watch as your servants coming like clear plates away, and your father and Henri Timoff retire to like, the drawing room to have more drinks. You know that's where the whiskey is kept, and you clearly see like maybe as a formality of making a good deal, they're going to share a whiskey. There probably is some sort of maid or carer from Augustria that looks after Emily. It's quite late at this point, so Emily goes off to bed, and you and your mother are left in this dining room by yourself. And there's a long, quiet.
It was just me, Mum, and Emily left.
Emily has been taken off to like a bedroom, like a guest room, by like a servant from Augustria. So it's just you and your mother.
Yeah. Mother, did you know?
I had an inkling. You know, your father, he doesn't tell us what he is doing, what he is planning, but I had a feeling when I heard that Henri's wife had passed. I knew this is where this road would lead.
I don't have a choice, do I? This has been decided.
Unfortunately, she's not even looking at you. She's kind of like, you're sat next to each other and you're kind of just looking forward. I imagine in a state of irony there probably is a painting of your father at battle and you're kind of staring at this painting in front of you. But it doesn't have to happen immediately. You have never left 13. apart from your father's stately visits to the other towns. There is a bag packed in the horse stables. If you wanted to spend some time away, finding yourself before you return to do your duties, I can make sure that happens.
Mother, are you suggesting that I run away?
No, not running away. A trip. You are a grown adult. You are of an age where you can take a trip if you so wish to.
Is this your suggestion? Does father know that this is? Does father approve of this?
Your father does not know about it yet, but he'll come to approve it. I'm sure. You're aware that although your mother is in this situation, she does have a sort of way with your father.
Oh yeah.
She has clearly, from being in the situation she's in, learnt to. She plays a slow game. Your father is a very brutal military. Put your foot in it first of all, and your mother is kind of not a spy master, but she is subtle in her kind of ways. And your hearing is your mother will convince your father that this is a good idea.
Yeah,
but he doesn't know yet.
It's a ask for forgiveness, not for permission, type thing. Okay. And then I return and fulfill my my duties to Vatine.
You see, she's nodding, but it is this is a nod of trying to push a boulder up a hill kind of thing. She is, every fiber of her body doesn't want to nod in this moment as she does. Yes.
And what I leave. You say a bag's packed. What is this? Leave now? Or is this
first thing in the morning? If you want, I'll be honest. That bag has been packed for a long time. It wasn't originally for you, but it is there nonetheless. It's basic travel supplies. If you would obviously need to bring your own clothes and equipment, but things for the road, in case of someone ever needed to get away quickly.
Mother, has it occurred to Chad before now that his mother would want to escape, or is this a?
This is the moment you've.
This is the moment I'm realizing this.
There's a lot of things you've kind of very suddenly the history of things have clicked into place in this moment of your mother, and you what you're getting a sense of here. Maybe this bag was packed, possibly before you were born, and then has never been used.
Yeah. Mother. If you want to get out, then go. My place is here. My place has always been here. That should be if that bag was packed for you, you should. I had no idea, but Yeah.
Make me a persuasion check.
I mean, obviously, I'm not about to persuade her because this the bag that that Chad has obviously left, unless
see
he's
what
left
you
it some
roll.
other way. But let's see.
History is
I'm
malleable with a game
rolling.
like
If
this.
anyone needs me to roll anything today, then just ask me. That was an 18.
Cool. As you say that, there is this kind of... There is an odd look in your mother's face. Like,
Oh
she
wait, no,
pauses.
hang on. Sorry, that was a perception check, which has
Oh.
+0. My persuasion's got +6. So should I roll? Should I roll again?
No, we'll just keep it. What was that? That'd be
Cool,
what?
fine,
25, 24, something like that?
Yeah.
Your mother's like,
Yeah, there is a
"Ah."
look over your mother's face of like... Almost seems to be like... You're right, if there's going to be a time, maybe it is now. But she doesn't say anything to you, she doesn't nod her head, she just goes... I think maybe it's time that we retire for the night. Have a good evening, Chad. And she sort of puts a hand on your shoulder and kind of squeezes tightly as she steps up. Again, never having looked at you throughout this whole conversation. Just a tight squeeze on your shoulder. And starts to walk out of the room.
Ad is stunned into silence with this.
Yeah.
That is a much bigger evening than he thought it was going to be. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, and you feel like the weight of this kind of possible situation upon you. Like, do you uphold tradition? Do you run away? Do you go on a trip like your mother suggested? Or do you make it a longer thing? It kind of sits on you heavily as this, responsibility and opportunity and all this kind of thing kind of just dwell on you.
What? And his main one of the main sort of things he now sort of keeps rolling through his head is trying to preempt. You know, when you sort of in your head when you have conversations and arguments and things in advance of when they might have, and he's in his head he is responding to his father about whether he knows anything about his mum disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's rehearsing in his head, him saying that he had no idea.
Yeah, and as we kind of draw out of this memory, we will say that it is canon that, if not that night, Chad obviously leaves very soon, but your mother was not there in the morning. I think that's where we'll take our break.
Ooh.
Cheerful.
Lovely.
Sorry, it's all uphill from here, guys.
Yay. All right.
Bloody hell.
We haven't taken our break yet. See you in
22?
What?
20, 40.
22.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You good?
Bye-bye.
Bye!
Ah.
And we're back!
Yes,
We
we are.
mostly haven't melted over the break, so...
Mostly.
Yeah, mostly. Definitely
Starting.
mostly. Starting to melt, so... There we are, guys. If we start getting a bit more delirious than we are now, it's because
Yeah.
the heat. But, so, as the camera sort of pans out of Chad and we see once again him like climbing on the walls, green ooze coming out of his mouth, whatever, we fire across to Christina.
Oh,
Oh, hi. You, I seem to remember, as you were grappling, as you were sleeping, was sort of grappling with the weight of this whole, like, destiny of the world situation, and if you want to get involved in that or not. And we kind of zoom down into your mind and see a moment from your past. You're probably about 13 or 14-year-olds here, back home in South Costrand, and you have just had an argument with your parents, probably around the nature of you going out and, you know, the way you dress. Like, your parents are very, like, business people, and, like, very, like, these are the rules, this is how you go. Not overly dissimilar to Chad's family, but and they're trying to like raise you in a certain way, like you will be the future of this family, you will take over the family business at some point, and you want nothing to do with that. You obviously, you know, dress in these bright colors, you want to go out, you want to do things, and I think, Christina, for probably the umpteenth time, you've run away from home. It's where I imagine we find you. You just had a massive argument about how your parents want you to behave, act, and da-da-da-da. So you sort of, you know, bed sheets out the window, climb down from the upper floor, and they've booked it. So, and over you, Verity. Where do you think Christina would be running away to? Again, I think you've run away several times now.
Yeah. Well, the go-to place is the summer home.
Yes. So I think your summer home is obviously it's on the coast. So we're set at Brentfus's, which is the capital of South Costrand. It's near the coast, but isn't quite on the coast. So there is a coastal town. So we probably find you. I think South Costrand is a little bit more like technically advanced than Brattonshire is, which is obviously kind of industrial revolution. And South Costrand has the benefit of magic. So I think you're like right now you're sat on a tram that's going down to the coast.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where we find you. You are blending in with as many people as you can. You see, like, there are kind of a sort of like South Costrand has a kind of almost modernish kind of dress style, but it's still kind of like layered with like robes and like wizardly kind of people. There's this interesting mishmash of that. But you see people like sitting there reading newspapers. You can see someone using magic to have like a conversation with someone who is clearly not on this tram. And they're talking about, you know, like this financial quarter, this and that. Like there's some sort of magical business meeting happening, as someone is eventually talking to like a Bluetooth headset equivalent using magic. And you know this tram will take probably about maybe 20 minutes or so to get you down to the coast, where you will head to the summer house. Which the summer house is typically where your grandmother is, and you're obviously probably heading down to go spend some time with her. But is there anything you're doing on this tram to kind of keep yourself busy and or entertained as you go?
Well, at this point, Christina's not reading books
Yes.
avidly as she does, because that's part of her art. So I don't know if there's like a gadget or I don't know how advanced this place is, but some sort of magical, like, not toy, but like entertainment.
Yeah, it's something like that. Like your family kind of stood out. We've said this before. Your parents, like your parents, are very surprisingly anti-magic, despite the fact you live in a very magical society. So imagine you've stolen like it is essentially like a kind of like a magical Rubik's cube almost. Like it's a puzzle to solve, but it has like moving parts and shapes on it. And you're trying to play with this, and this is something that your parents would never let you have, for whatever reason. You just have this item. You've stolen it maybe from a friend, or borrowed it from a friend or something. Might even be what the argument started about, is this object you have that you shouldn't have. And your parents just have this sort of almost irrational, negative attitude to magic. And it's not like they are anti the society being magic. They are just very specific about this family should not be touching or using magic. But we find you here sat with playing with this magical Rubik's Cube on this tram. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, in my head, the argument was about wearing a boob tube.
You
want about bright colours and stuff, so I'm like, I will wear a boob tube. And just, yeah.
I think what happens is, like, your parents, I imagine they're the type who maybe snoop for your bags. They find this magical Rubik's Cube, and they come to, like, confront you about it, and you're there, like, on, like, the front porch, so in a boob tube, and like, what are you wearing? And that's where the argument goes. Like, it was gonna be this magical thing, and it just massively changes into you're wearing a boob tube. Like, what are you doing? But anyway, back to the tram. So you're sitting there playing with this toy and stuff like that. Make me we'll call it an Arcana check and see if how well you do at sort of playing with it.
Oh, 14.
14. Yeah, you're playing with it more and more, and you're starting, like, you might even have had this for like a week or something for your friend, and you're playing with it more, and you're starting to get the hang of it. It is both a puzzle, but it's also a toy in that if you sort of twist it into certain like orientations, like an image appears on the face of it, and then like a sound plays, or like confetti sprays out of it.
Yeah.
It is essentially like a Rubik's Cube that does kind of what the prestidigitation spell does, in that you put it in a certain way, like, this is given to kids before they can even cast that magic to kind of get them interested in it. But for you, there is a sort of fascination by what this can do. You turn it a certain way, like a puff of air comes out of it, and like you're just enjoying this toy and having a lot of fun with it. And you hear a sort of a gentle cough from the person you're sat next to, who's sat there reading a newspaper. He just goes, having a lot of fun with that, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you look over, and this person like sort of pokes the newspaper down. And they're wearing a hat and stuff like that. But this is your granddad. The person your grandmother is married to, but has in the current time passed away. Just sat there, and this is a recurring thing for you. Every time you run away, your granddad seems to find you. It doesn't matter where you are. Like, you know, like you're going into the summer house where your granddad stays. But yet here he's on the tram with you going to the summer house. And it just gives you a little wink in the kind of like grandfatherly way of like, you know, grandfathers have got a weird mischief magic that they kind of pull. Like, I bet your parents would not like you playing with that.
No, they got annoyed. Typical.
Of course they did. What do you think of your parents' attitude towards magic? Do you think it's smart, stupid, boring,
I don't know.
uncool?
No, it's hard when you go to school and then everyone's got all this magic and then there's you just sat there like not being able to do anything about it.
Yes. Do you know why we don't have magic in our family, and yet live in a magic society?
No. I'd have thought we'd have moved away a long time ago.
Yeah,
Business things.
The business came second. The location came first. Yeah, exactly. Like, if we don't have magic, why would we not live in North Costrand, where they are so anti-magic? We'd probably fit in quite well there, you'd think, right? I'm afraid that's my fault. Do you know about the Costrandic Civil War? Right, it's before your time, but have they taught you about it in school yet?
I think so, probably.
Yeah,
But like
it's,
history.
It's not even really history. Like it was like 40 years ago. Like, so like, even if you're trying to avoid learning about it, you'll probably know about it, because it is the South Costrand has only become a nation because of the Civil War. Like there was Costrand, and then it split. So we'll just remind you, in case you've forgotten Verity, Costrand hated magic users. Magic users didn't want to die. They started fighting. Eventually, they separated the country into two halves because there was a stalemate in battle. It's also where guns were created as kind of like to fight back against, you know, people who can throw fireballs from their hand. Guns were invented to go like, okay, well, even the playing field. But as a result of this, it did come a stalemate. Neither side really winning, and eventually they kind of pushed themselves into two separate places, and there is this border that's being erected between them, and this uneasy truce. Not an alliance by any means, but a truce between the two nations. We don't talk about this much, but I used to be a magic user when I was a wee little boy. It is strong in a line, and I was with a group of people who were fleeing. Older mages, they were fleeing, and we were hiding out in... I think it was an old brewery. Hoping that the Justicars... He explains what a Justicar is to you, because at this point you probably wouldn't know what a Justicar is, because again, you don't have Justicars in South Costrand. But he tells you that essentially these... And he describes them quite heavily as like zealot army of like anti-magic people. They were hunting us down, and we were hoping to avoid them, but they stormed the building we were in, and they killed all the adults, including my parents, which was not a memory I want to visit, but they found a way of doing a thing, and it doesn't seem to be that common. I've not met many others who did it, but he holds up pulls down a buttoned-up sleeve shirt, and you see on his wrist there is this like brand that's been like scarred into him. They found a way to essentially scar the magic out of some people, and they did that to me. Ever since I received this, I have never been able to do magic ever again. It took away a part of that life from me, and they were going to take me to some place to keep me, I think, to make sure that this was permanent. They're going to lock us up, and en route, we luckily ran across a much larger group of mages, and they attacked the Justicars, and they routed them, they rescued us, and they brought us down to southern Kostrand, where the rest of the mages were rallying, and it slowly grew into South Kostrand. I've been on this side of the border ever since. And it seems that whatever brand they put upon me, it has stuck in our family line. My daughter, your mother, she also did not have magic. Your father, he is not, he came from outside of town, so he's not unusual to not have magic. But, your family, your parents, they like rules, because we had kids when the border had just been established. Things were chaotic, and to them, the rules of the society that was growing was a comfort to them. It was the only way that South Kostrand was going to be recognized as a state and not be crushed by an alliance of Riverdan and North Kostrand and Brattonshire, was to become a society very quickly. And your parents grew up in the time when rules were the most important thing. If we couldn't be a civilized society and prove to the rest of the world that we meant no harm, we could have died. So you should not begrudge your parents and their steadfast attitude of rules. It's not their fault, it was of the time. But I see in you, you have a spark of rebellion in your soul. I see it quite clearly. You're like me in that sense. I never liked doing what I was told. When I had magic, I was quite the prankster.
I bet.
In fact, he takes the small toy off you, like, what's this? And he twists it into an orientation that you haven't seen before. And you watch as it kind of just expels a smell, and this is like rotten egg smell. And you watch people like, and it just sits there. And you watch as he kind of like does like a sleight of hand. Like, your grandfather, you think, has learnt like sort of like performance magic as they've grown older, almost maybe to replace the magic he lost. And the toy's gone. And people are looking around trying to work out where this comes from. And he's just like holding his nose like, that's not appropriate on the train, as he says to like some random passerby. And you watch as he basically manages to convince a bunch of people on the train that this man has just started or something to that effect. He just gives you a little nudge in the ribs. And then you find that the Rubik's Cube like reappears in your lap without you really realizing. It's like, there's a lot of fun you can have with toys like that. Yes, I see the same sort of rebellious soul in you that I had. But I think, Christina, you're still young, so I don't blame you for this, but you are a rebel without a cause. I think you could do great things, and I think you could change the world if you wanted to. But right now, it's okay to have a fight with your parents every once in a while. Remind them that not all things in life is about rules. But I think one day you will find something. Find a cause worth standing for and standing against. And a destiny, fate, an enemy, whatever it be, that you feel you are right. They just haven't got it quite right, and that you are the one who can prove them wrong. I see that in your future. And he goes on to sort of like talk more pleasant conversation, and maybe you ask him more about what his childhood was like, but you have this lovely conversation as you kind of travel down on the tram. Eventually it comes to a little stop. You hear a like ding ding as it kind of pulls into this little like tram station. And as you kind of get off the tram, you see your grandmother, Erica Christmas, who kind of sees you and just like, have a good chat, did we? And she again nudges your grandfather's arm. You can see that your parents don't like Eritha, because Eritha isn't your grandfather, isn't your mother's mum. Your grandfather remarried with Eritha, and your parents have always hated her because she is essentially your role model. Like, she basically dresses more or less like you, the colors, the ensemble. But there is always this thing of like, she never openly showed it, but you have always been kind of suspicious that your grandmother has magic as well, which your parents, because they can't prove it, have never been able to use that kind of as a reason not to see her, but they have always been suspicious of it too. Yes, you go and spend a couple of days with your grandmother and grandfather down in the summer house. And as we kind of draw out of you, like, your mind is kind of thinking about that. Again, the weight of this destiny of the end of the world and whether or not you want to get involved in it. And these words your grandfather have been like, you're a rebel without a cause. You just need to find something you think is worth standing for. And we will then shift the camera across towards Pebble. Ooh, Pebble, you're having a bit of restless sleep.
I bet. If I think, yeah, I'm just gonna shut up. I think I know what it is.
Do you now?
Surprise me.
You, again, a long day. This day has been weird for you.
Yeah.
You have been transformed into a hobgoblin, which maybe you always were a hobgoblin. You are having this kind of restless sleep, perhaps a nightmare. And we kind of draw into you and then kind of draw out as we see you maybe 3 or 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
You have been woken as a start in the middle of the night. You're back on your family farm. You can hear the livestock outside are going crazy. You hear like potentially screams, as it were, from like the goats and the cows. And you can hear that your father, Rolf, is like, Pebble! Quickly come, Pebble!
I go. The first thing I do is I go towards my dad.
So you run, and your house is almost a hovel. It has like a main room and then some like tucked away bedrooms kind of thing. As you live on the edge of this farm, you come out and into the main room, and you see your father Rolf, who is a very like stick thin, wearing like overalls and kind of like button up farmer, like a straw hat kind of thing, but is wheelchair bound.
Oh.
He's sitting there. There is one of his legs is missing, lost many years ago to a disease. And he's sort of like, as most as he can, sitting at the window, and he's looking out like, Pebble, I think there's something out there. Wolves, maybe. Oh.
Okay.
He looks quite afraid and sad. And you know what normally happens in this situation is that your other father, Jerome, he's more able-bodied, does all the manual lifting, so he's a much more muscular man. Usually, Jerome handles situations like this. But your father right now is out of town. He's gone down to Lamley Port to sell cattle and won't be back. Definitely not tonight.
In
so
a few
Rolf,
days,
your other
probably.
father... Yeah, exactly. So Rolf is looking like...
Okay.
I wouldn't normally ask this of you, but I do need you to go out there.
Yes. We have to lock the house.
We need the livestock. We can't let them die.
I suppose
We heard
the
about them.
I suppose the house has like some way of like bringing in the livestock that's not like the.
There'll be like a barn outside,
barn.
but it seems like maybe at this
Cool.
time of year, some of the cattle and stuff are out grazing in the fields, and like they're the problem.
Okay.
Your father goes, "Yes, I can lock up the house. It'll be fine in here." But your father looks terrified that he's having to ask you to do it. But you see that he kind of like grabs the spear, which is your father Jerome usually takes, and he holds it to you. Like, I'm so sorry to have to give this to you.
Okay, no worries. Okay, I will do it. I've seen Dad do it before.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine.
And at this
I'm
point in
just
time,
prepping myself.
Pebble is barely older than like 10 or 11.
Oh shit! All right.
Like this is not like Rolf is only doing this because he cannot. You can see very clearly in his face he is afraid for you, for the livestock, deeply ashamed that he can't do this himself.
Oh.
And like the look on his face is I've given you this spear. This might be a death sentence for you. But he knows that if we lose this livestock, the family starves as well.
It's a death sentence to everyone. Yeah.
It's either a quick death or a slow death, and like this man is panicked and without the one person who could usually handle this situation safely.
Okay, but Pebble is if Pebble is 10 or 11, he's just gonna do as Dad says and not really read much into the situation. I mean, he's just gonna be a little oblivious of the danger, surely. So yeah. Yes.
Tell
it's
you what,
gonna be
make
fine.
me a wisdom saving throw. We're gonna see if you can be brave like Dad.
Where am I? Wisdom saving throw. No, natural 1 plus 3
Natural 1.
equals 4.
Okay. You are trembling as you hold this spear. This thing is way too big for you as well. Like you're trembling and like, oh, okay.
But I'm gonna do it because
Yeah.
I don't
There's
want...
nothing stopping you from doing it. It's just
Yeah.
you want to be brave and you
Yeah.
just right now know that you can't be.
Cool. I just want to. I mean, not that. I mean, what's the emotional intelligence of 10-year-olds? But it's just like it hurts. It hurts to see my father blaming himself for something that he didn't choose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I go
You head out into the
with
field.
a spear and what else? A little lantern,
What else? Excellent.
maybe.
Yeah, like a lantern. I imagine that's true. Maybe a perception check as you head out into the field.
For sure. Natural 20. Plus 3. 20.
Amazing. You are like so attuned to anything that's going on
Oh
right
my
now.
God,
There's so
I'm
much
like
like
this.
going through your brain. You're like you are so like
Hyperventilating.
mortally aware of the
Yeah.
danger that you're in that you immediately like hone in on the sounds of jaws wrenching through
Cool.
flesh and crunching bones.
Also, they are here already.
As you can see that in your field, just about maybe 20 feet away from you, you can see that there is the corpse of one of your cattle laying on the field as a large wolf is biting through the torso of this cattle.
Yummy.
It hasn't seen you yet because it is distracted by its kill. You see the rest of the cattle and like the goats in this field have all like backed away to the corner, but they are on the complete wrong side of the field to where you need to get them.
I mean, I suppose we could go around if the wolf is, but I don't know. Wolf's coming back. I don't know how many more. Can I get like
With the
a
perception check of
notion?
natural 20,
Yeah.
you get the feeling like you can hear. There's a few farmsteads kind of locked together where you are, and you think that there might be other wolves in other people's fields right now.
Okay.
So you think the only wolf you need to worry about right now is this one wolf.
I'm gonna Pebble's gonna go like around and try to I mean, in the innocence of a child, he's gonna try to, he's gonna try to bring
Roll me a
the
stealth check.
livestock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll me a stealth check.
9.
9. You're going as quietly as you can. Like, you basically push yourself up right against the fence of your field as you're going. You kind of get to like a midpoint between your house and the cattle you're trying to reach when you hear your lantern that's like hanging at your waist dunks into the fence post. There's like a crack of the glass, and you see that wolf goes.
I mean, the wolf sees the lantern. I mean, immediately.
Yeah, it turns and
Right.
starts to see you.
Bubble's gonna run for his life, like away. He's gonna drop the lantern, drop the
Okay.
spear.
Where are you going? You going towards the cattle, to the house, or like over the fence and out?
I'm gonna try to go to the house.
Okay, you try to run back to the house.
Yeah.
Make me an athletics check. This is gonna be contested against
Yeah.
the wolves.
17. Oh, athletics!
17.
I'm -1 on athletics. How insulting.
Yeah, you're a weedy little boy.
Fair enough.
You start booking it to the house
Hmm.
as fast as your like 11-year-old legs can possibly carry you. You hear this heavy as this wolf is bearing down. This thing is larger than you are, and you're like, it is
Cool.
massive. You start to feel the heat of its breath
Ugh.
on the back of your neck as you start charging, and you manage to get to the door and bam, slam it closed as you hear Phil crash
Right.
against the door as this wolf. You get inside the house.
Okay, good. I just is Dad there?
You look around and yeah, you see that Rolf is still there. He's got his wheelchair. He's fumbling with a door on the other side, and he's struggling with like what seems to be a rusted padlock with his one. No, he's got 2 arms. Trying to follow with like a rusted padlock, trying to lock the door, but it's struggling.
Can I? Is the door secure? Is the door where I am securely locked?
Mm-mm. Right now, you're holding it back against this wolf with your body weight, and you can feel it go. Like there is a lock, like there is like a bar you can put down and a padlock,
Cool.
but you have to try and do that while trying to hold the door.
Sure. How? I'm very brittle. So
You
how?
are very brittle.
I don't think I'm gonna like divert this. I mean, I don't think I'm just gonna exhaust the wolf by holding the door myself. It's probably gonna be the other way. So I need to lock the door for sure. What? I'm just trying to think like what other. Can I pick like? Is there any opening? Not the opening of the door. Is there any opening that leads outside that I can throw like something to divert the wolves' attention?
Yeah, so there would be like a window nearby. It'll be close. Like you could try and throw something through the window and smash it. There's also the tricky part about trying to like reach anything.
Cool. Yeah, Pavel's gonna. Pavel's gonna cry. No. Well, yes, he's crying at the
Probably
moment.
that's great.
Um,
As you start crying, roll me a wisdom saving throw.
It's 13.
13. You're holding this door back as best you can. This emotion is overwhelming you. Like you know in your 11-year-old soul that you are going to die here.
Fantastic.
You know that you're not going to be able to protect your father, Rolf. You know that Jerome is never going to see you again. And you feel this door like being pushed open, creaking as it goes. And you are just bawling with tears. Your muscles, the little that you have, are straining. And you cry and cry. And then there is just this massive burst of energy just flies out from you. The
Okay.
door is blown outwards, throwing this wolf out into the field. You were just standing there. You see the wolf is just kind of hits the floor. There's now a hole in your whole like hovel.
Okay.
rubble is sent flying along. You see that actually, like, it kind of starts to bury some of the roof, separating you from your father.
Oh wow.
And you are kind of now, again, practically outside as some sort of thunder wave has gone off from this emotion alone. You don't know what's happened. You're confused as well as scared, but you do see that wolf does pick itself up under this door, starts looking towards you, and starts barreling down towards you yet again.
Fantastic.
As you are now completely exposed to this thing. I think, being that you're essentially paralyzing your body. You don't know what to do. You have nothing. There's no weapons. There's no place to run. There's no place to hide. There's no shield. What in Pebble's mind does Pebble want to happen in this motion? Like, with the emotions going on, what does Pebble want to happen in this moment?
I want my dad to be okay because the house is falling down apparently suddenly. And I want the wolf to get like tamed, to lose interest in me.
Pacified.
Pacified. Yeah.
I
want peace. I want peace.
Yeah.
Basically that.
Roll me a charisma saving throw this time.
Okay. No. 8.
Okay. There is this emotion overwhelming you, but there's also this kind of like tingling feeling, like almost like your blood has been electrified in this moment. You feel something strange within you that you cannot explain or comprehend. You just overwhelmingly want this. You want your father to be okay. You want this wolf to stop. You are just crying, and then from you, this whirling energy of like a blizzard. Ice just starts swirling from you. The building behind you just shoots icicles up, starting like almost like reinforcing the building as it starts to freeze in place. In like midsummer, by the way, freezing in place in a summer evening, as like parts of this starts to like hold up, like to support the roof. You see that the building stops crumbling, and then the icicle just starts shooting across the ground, hitting this wolf as it kind of bursts around it, encasing this wolf entirely in a block of ice. You sort of breathing heavily. You don't understand what you're seeing. You don't understand what's happening. You turn, you see the house is supported by an ice wall that you have somehow created. You feel the emotion coming down. It's kind of, but as you do, you feel that swelling of that like electricity within you. There is something more there, something more you need to release. You just feel it overwhelming you as you start to feel like kind of like fill out into your body, and then you suddenly see like your arms go and start extending. You get forced onto 4 legs as you become quadrupedal, growing, expanding. Your skin starts mottling. Small horns start poking through your head as you rapidly transform yourself into a cow.
One
where
cow.
You know this is the nightmare you're having is the nightmare of the incident that we have referred to vaguely a few times. The moment where you saved your father's life from a wolf, and your reward for that was wild magic that transformed you into a cow, where you stayed for 1 year.
How much?
Parents thinking you were lost or dead, and you just becoming one of the cattle on their field for a whole year. You remember this nightmare, the chaos of magic, as you kind of turn and toss in the bed inside Morgrave Manor, as this fear of what this magical prophecy could do. You know what magic does. You are terrified to be a hobgoblin right now. You have a fitful and struggled night's sleep.
That is
Pulled back from you.
horrific.
Yeah.
The incident, everybody.
That's the incident. I thought, I mean, the way I played it in my head, let's not get into details now. As a cow, it would have been like too painful to watch my dads and not, interact with them normally, so I might have like escaped it in one point in the future or something like that. But yeah, anyway, sorry.
Yeah. better. As you pull away from Pebble having this restless, fitful night's sleep. Not that anyone else can see her, but Tisk is there trying to comfort you. Like, it's okay. It's okay. You're like stroking your hair as best she can as they pixie this big can.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
It'll be okay. Yeah.
So, wait.
Pull away.
Is Tisk in the... Where is Tisk? In my dream, or...?
No, in the room in Mulgrave Manor with you.
Oh, right. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Yeah. We pull away from Pebble and scan the camera across into the sort of more common area where we see, I imagine, Brask laid out flat on the sofa, dreaming heavily. And we then zoom down into Brask. You, Brask, are... It's gone.
Just having a normal, untraumatic dream.
Yeah.
Just running in the meadow.
You... Running the meadow, yes. You are, running for a meadow that transforms into a swamp. Like, you are heading... You have been summoned to meet with the matriarch of your tribe. And, like, the reason why this memory is brought on is because you've been thinking a lot about like, honor recently. Like, you were laid low by a wyvern that made you kind of start to wonder if you can do it all. Your tribe always bigged you up as being this, like, solo hero. And you're starting to realize that doesn't quite work in at least this human world, at the very least, if not the world in general. Like, you're starting to have to rely on your allies more and more. But it brings you kind of back to a memory where you became, or at least wanted to become, the solo hero of your tribe. So yeah, you are running through this field, trying to get back to the sort of hub of your tribe. Your tribe are a nomadic people at best, living in a swamp. But there are a few structures that are kind of like built into the back of, I imagine, larger like animals, like maybe like a tortoise. There's like a hut built into the back of it, where the matriarch of your tribe is currently residing, and you have been summoned by them. Her name is Panazka. You run through town, this town that's kind of popped up as it moves. You see you're passing through the rest of your people. And again, your people tend to be taller than you. They're about 7 foot, they're about 8 foot. But there are like cheers from these people as they recognize you as a hero or a budding hero of your people. There's just cheers and cries and whoops. And you run and you come to this throne that has been built up. Kind of out like sticks and straws, and a component of this throne is that there is this large, like 18-foot long crocodile that is curled around into like a donut kind of shape, and like leaning on a cushion against this crocodile is the matriarch Panazka. She is like, you're short for your people. She's tiny. She's like 4 foot, shriveled. You can see like parts of like the scales, and the skin is kind of sallow and like hanging where she's grown old. Her green scales have turned kind of like almost like sickly, almost like minty kind of color. There is like a lot of colors going there. She has these kind of like blood red barbs that come out of her, and it's kind of like tribal headdress. But she is leaning into this crocodile behind her, drinking some sort of tea. As you approach, she sort of waves you down as you come like running, like a marathon runner. Come and approach her. And as you do, there's a plinth on this platform next to her, kind of made of like bone, probably from some large creature. And a platform and a small, like it's like a horn that's been carved to have like an indent in it. And on that plinth sits Dragonfang, this legendary weapon of your people. And you know that in your heart, you believe it is your destiny to wield that weapon. She weighs you down and approach, and like you immediately drop to a knee. And before she says anything to you, I've got a question for you, Ryan, about how you want to play this. The way that Brass normally talks, do you think that is the way he always talks, or do you think that's the way he talks because he has like a broken sense of common? Because right here with your people, you don't speak common, you speak Draconic. So I want to know, does Brass speak, like, is it more eloquently or fluently in Draconic, or is it the same voice? Because I will match the tone you go for here, buddy.
Yeah, no, I think it's a bit more, probably a bit more eloquent. Like,
Yeah,
still
okay.
not like particularly high status or anything like that. He's still like a working class Draken.
Yes.
But yeah, he's more articulate, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So you hear it sound like, "Rise, Brask. It is good you have come so quickly. How was your hunt?"
Successful. We shall feast tonight.
Wonderful, wonderful. I always knew you'd be a promising Farang. Farang being this title, it's almost like the epitome of your people is the Farang. You embody the best and the bold and the brightest of your people. You have been essentially competing in various kind of Olympic game style trials to become the Farang. And it has come down to the final two. There is you and your rival, who is not here at the moment. Yes. The challenges you have overcome, incredible for a Draken of your size, which you find bold considering she's 4 foot tall.
That's rich.
What was that?
Nothing.
Are you prepared to take the final challenge? A duel of the boomerang between you and your fiercest competitor.
I am prepared to do what I need to.
Good, good. That's what we want to hear from our Farang. And you hear another series of cheering and whooping in the distance as, not running, but strolling into this sort of arena, is this large, standing more like 8 to 9 feet tall, to the other end of the scale. Dark green scales, to the point where at some points it looks black in certain lighting, but again with almost like red, like tiger stripes going through it. You see this large Draken, and you know this Draken, A, because you've been competing, but also because this is your cousin. This is Bare Knuckle, and you see it approaches like, the Knuckle cousins, Bear and Brask. Oh, it was almost foretold that you two would be here. You see Bear kind of just kneels deeply as he gets it. It is my honor that I would be here, my lady. Your cousin he's from the same sort of background you are, but he puts on this air of being more important and less kind of like working class, as it were. Not that term really applies to this culture, but he kind of makes himself more bigger, bolder, important. Whereas you're a bit more sort of like stuck to your roots, as it were. Good. Alright. So, both of you think that you have what it takes to wield Dragon Fang, our most priceless relic, carved from the horns of Odrasan himself. I would have you speak. Tell me the greatest deed of honor you have done that you think makes you worthy of holding this relic. Brask, I would hear your tale first.
Good question. Ask. I think he thinks quite long and hard about this. He probably looks across at Bear. He's probably got like a million answers ready to go.
Yeah,
he's sort of smug like that. And then I think something probably twigs in Brask to answer the question slightly unexpectedly.
Ooh.
Sort of smiles, looks up, and then says, "Lady, I do not presume to be worthy. I endeavor to be. My acts I would do in service of our people, that would be my goal, is to become worthy of the honor.
Make me a persuasion check.
He's doing the political thing of
Yeah.
answer the question you want to answer,
Yeah,
not the
yeah.
question you're at. Did you say persuasion?
Yes, please.
12.
Well, okay. You hear a sort of stifled chuckle from Bear as you say that. But the matriarch, she seems pleased. Like, it would be good to have a wise Thorang for once, someone who does not charge forth, live off past glories, but always thinking towards the future. Not a confirmation, yes or no, like, but there is a kind of like she's intrigued by your answer nonetheless. And you, Bear, what glory do you claim? Bear stands up from his kneeling position, and you watch as he kind of like unbuckles this kind of like hide belt, and you see that he holds it up, which you would have seen approaching, but kind of like twisted into it is 9 human skulls. The belt run through their eye sockets, and he just throws it down on the floor in front of the matriarch. I have protected our clan from human marauders who would see us be beasts of burden, playthings, or simply regard us as pests. My glory is in that I have slain, solo-handed a whole battalion of their soldiers. And he looks towards you, and you see there's a pause where he's starting to think, like, I need to put something about the future, I need to put something about the future in here. Like, I would take our people, push out into the human lands, show them that we are not mere pests or a pestilence to live in the swamp, that we mean something, we are a force to be reckoned with. Too long have they seen us as nothing mere but animals to live in squalor. So long ago were the days when they feared us, when we followed the words of the dragons like Odrasan, and we brought hell down upon these humans. I would see us return to those times. I would see us be triumphant and claim their forts and their towns and their homes of their own. And he starts turning to the crowd. It's like, do you not tire of this roaming lifestyle? Do you not wish to live in comfort amongst these fleshy humans and the lives they have lived? What power, what wondrous life it would be to live fat and happy off the land, to grow our own meat instead of hunt it, and only hunt for the thrill of it instead of the need of it. And you're gonna look over the crowd, and obviously, Brass, you're a bit of a portly guy, and this is probably because you are a very good hunter. A lot of your people are, some of them are stick thin, some of them are starving. Like, there is not a lot of good, like, food or game to be got in the swamps you're in. And that is a disgruntlement for the people. You hear the crowd is riled up by this performance from him. And the matriarch's like, Looks down at the skulls like, a formidable foe to be fell, definitely. But we shall see if a future honor shall be yours. Rasks. For it is not my place to decide, but your skill that will see where the future Thorang falls. She kind of like heavily leans on the staff and gets up from the top of the crocodile. Then you watch as he kind of turns around and gets onto the back of the crocodile, hits it with the stick, and the crocodile starts to wake up and starts moving along. And you watch as like this procession of people start moving over towards what clearly has been some sort of like arena that's been kind of made. It kind of looks like a paintball arena, practically. You can see that there are logs that are laid down. There's kind of like some ruins of like old buildings that have been in the fort, and there's kind of like this wall. This is where our duel shall take place. Brask versus Bear. To see who is the mightier swing of the boomerang. To see who has the talent and honor to wield our most holy relic. and you and Bear are kind of almost like pushed by the crowd practically into this arena, which is kind of like an oval shape. Each of you have been supplied with like 5 boomerangs. None of these obviously magical, but boomerangs nonetheless, and are kind of brought into this arena. Bear looms ahead of you. He's like, any final words, cousin, before I drag your honor through the mud?
I think Brass was he's still just trying to honorably and kind of fairly. So he would sort of extend a sort of predator style throw fist out, be like, whatever. I'm trying to think of what the Draken version of "May the best Draken win," or something like.
It might be something like, "May you have the toughest scales," or something like that. I think.
Yeah. May. I don't know. Like something about the sort of.
Yeah.
May the outcome of this be what is best for our people.
Yes.
Brass doesn't really care about winning. He just wants to. Just wants to
do what's
best
right
thing to happen, and he thinks that that's him, but he's
Yeah.
he's open to the idea that it's not. Not an asshole.
It might be something more like then may the ancestor spirits guide the outcome of this battle, because your people all believe in the ancestor spirits of dragons that guide you. So
yeah,
absolutely. You then sort of like step away. Actually, you hold the arm out. He does grasp it. This large hand comes in yours, but he kind of like digs some of his claws into your arm as he does it. It's like, may the ancestors guide us. And then lets go of you. You take a few steps away, and you turn, and you see that the matriarch holds up the staff. Begin! And I'm going to change the music here, as we're going to go into a combat of sorts.
Oh me, oh my.
Oh me, oh my.
Definitely needs the Star Trek.
So, this is a sort of homebrew mechanic I've been working on. I want to see how this goes, but this is a dueling mechanic. The save basically having 2 characters just hit each other endlessly. This is going to be essentially contested rolls. So, you will make an attack roll, so you can use the stats for Dragon Fang as they were the same as the stats for a Boomerang. You make an attack roll, and he will make an attack roll. Whoever gets the higher attack roll actually does damage to the other person. Now, the sort of complicated part about this is what I'm calling a gambit. The damage you do with your weapon varies. So you can choose the dice you want to do damage with, which kind of implies how much of a risk you're taking. So you can go, I'm going to roll a d12 as my damage dice, which means you're like really like extending yourself to kind of get like a really good hit in. Or you can be like, I want to take a d4, because you're basically protecting yourself. Whoever picks the bigger gambit dice gets advantage on their attack roll. But obviously it's risky because the damage dice isn't the damage you're dealing; it's the damage you're willing to take. So you go, I want to use d12. That's the damage you will take for taking the risk.
That's the amount I'm opening myself up to.
But the chances are, because you have advantage, there's a good chance that you'll get the hit and not them. So it's do I make a big play and get a better chance of hitting, but run the risk of taking more damage?
That's super cool.
Straight to a D100 is what you're saying.
Sure. 12 is your high. 12 is your highest option. So
I know,
12, 10, 8, 6, 4.
Where it turns, we set up a paradox here where Brask actually died in the past.
I will say that you know this is not a to kill. This is to whoever submits first. However, what this might show is whether or not Brask actually got the honor of holding Dragon Fang, or some shenanigans have taken place.
Great.
If you haven't already, by the way, Ryan, make sure you have a long rest because you need to be full health for this.
Oh, true. Yeah, haven't done that. Let me do that. Yummy, yummy, yummy.
No.
Oh, it's delicious.
So, I will start by picking your dice because I'm DM. I'm going to make sure that I don't cheat. So I'm going to take a dice. I'm going to put it in my hand, so it's up here. You can see it, and I will reveal what this dice is in a minute. So I picked my dice. Bear has picked his gambit. So you now get picked. So yes, D12, D10, D8, D6, or D4.
Brask is gonna start with a D4.
You start with D4, so you're going defensive. He went for a D12, so he's going for the big swing. So now you both make attack rolls. He has advantage.
Okay.
So you hit the +5 thing, and you take advantage.
Solid roll.
Not for him. So he got a 14.
23.
23. So you watch as he goes and like overconfident, goes wide, doesn't even take cover, and just throws one of these boomerangs out. You duck behind cover and you kind of throw it out. Like using a boomerang, you can arc it from behind cover. The boomerang he throws just crashes into the side of this fortress as yours kind of clips in the side ahead. And like I said, completely explodes. You hit the kind of fleshy underside of his scales. So roll a d12, and then add the normal damage of the weapon, which is a +4. So d12 +4.
Okay. So d12, we got 12, so 16.
16 points of damage out of the gate. You hear this just large ah, as he was not expecting to have a massive attack just like cut across him. The first
I'd like it made clear as well. Brask wasn't necessarily going for a huge attack straight away.
Yes.
He's sprinkling a few entrees.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, it's not you making the big play here. It's him overextending himself. So that brings us into second bout. So once again, you pick your gambit dice, and he'll pick his.
Do I wait until you've come up?
Yep. So I've got dice here. Just because I want to prove that as a DM, I'm not like.
Yeah.
I know his stats and I know your stats. So.
Brask is going to go 8 this time.
Okay, he went 6. So he's going. He overextended. He's learned his lesson. So you watch as he kind of ducks behind this log. You got an 8. You have advantage in your attack. He rolls a flat dice.
13.
14. He got a natural
13.
1. 13. Doesn't matter. He got a natural 1. So you watch as he goes to kind of duck behind this this tree, and as he's going, you actually clip him with the boomerang. Like he hadn't even thrown his yet. As he was running, you clip him across the back of it. So this time, roll a d6 +4.
6 + 4, so
Yes.
that is 7 in total.
7. He is not looking good already. He's like, oh, damn it, ancestors! Why? Gonna go again. He picked his gambit dice.
It's a fun mechanic. I like this.
I'm hoping this would work because, like, normally when I've seen like one-on-one battles, it's like your turn, you punch him. His turn, he punches you.
Yeah. There's a lot like it reminds me of the like the clash wages in like Mortal
Yes.
Kombat and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna go 8 again.
8. He went 12. He's gone back to taking the big swing. You can see he's getting a bit desperate and he's like, I just gotta get it. So he has advantage. You have a flat roll.
Okay.
So he got a 17.
18.
Wow.
See what he's like, he just stamps out like, ancestors, why? And he throws the boomerang. You throw yours, you actually hit his in air, knocks it to the ground. You're going to kind of go wobbles, like he's not supposed to do that, but it does just kind of just bang him right in the face. Actually, no, like almost like gets him across the eye, actually. Roll a d12 +4.
Oh, that's not too bad. That could have been worse. 6.
6 points of damage. You just hear him like, he is not looking happy. He will this time go for one of these.
Brask will this time go 12.
12. Oh, he went 10. He went just ever so slightly more defensive, but you've done the big swing now. So you get advantage.
This has made Brask potentially too cocky.
Potentially.
I'm thinking so. Ooh, 20. Unnatural 20.
He only got like a 14, so you roll 10, d10 +4.
10 plus 4, so that is 10.
10. You are making a mockery of him. Like, you see another one just like he tries to throw this boomerang. You just like duck behind a tree as it kind of beds itself in this tree. Again, throw it as you go. It arcs. Like he has kind of like going for like a brute force approach, of like chucking it directly at you. Whereas you're going for like skill tricks, and you kind of like arc it like a boomerang obviously can do.
Yeah.
As he kind of throws it, this one kind of gets him across the arm, and just like.
Oscar's not. He's not fighting particularly aggressively.
Mm-hmm.
He's sort of. I think. Bear is a douchebag.
Mm-hmm.
He's also. I think Brask also respects that he is incredibly formidable.
Yes.
So Brask is trying to fight smart because he knows this guy's.
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy's a tank.
Right, his next gambit.
6.
6. He went for a 10 again. He's still desperate, but he's not quite going for the 12. Like, he's limping a little bit this time as well now. So he has advantage on this. He got an unnatural 20.
I got 7. Oh no, 12.
7.
Sorry, in total.
12. So he's gonna hit you this time. You went up for 6, didn't you?
Yes.
Yes. So you take 9 points of damage. As finally you try and do one of these kind of clever throws, and as it's arcing up, you just get hit in the back of the head by a boomerang. As it seems like he's starting to pick up what you're doing, and he's kind of getting a bit smarter with his arcs and stuff. It's like, finally! He's gonna go for this time.
8.
He also went for an 8, so both of you have a flat roll.
No flat rolls. Okie dokie.
He got a 14.
13.
Just beat you. You kind of expose him and he chucks it again, going aggressive again. Like he was learning and now he's got against it. He throws his boomerang like diagonal, like vertical, which is not how boomerang works. You throw yours, his collide and actually just like crack through your boomerang.
Oh,
and
no.
it just comes right at you. And you're going to take, only 6 points of damage. It just cuts across one of your shoulders. And just keeps going and like, embeds itself in a tree trunk somewhere.
Sorry, what? Can you remind me what damage I took the first time? I think I got it. I think I put it in wrong. 9 last time?
9, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think I put that in wrong. So let me fix that. So that's 5. And then 6 this time.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. Next bout.
Okay, so now at this point, Asker's he's got a few bruises, got a few little slices.
Yeah.
I think that's probably gonna make, as we know, when Brask is backed into a corner, that's when he gets a little bit more animalistic. So he's going 12 again.
Ooh, he went 10, so you win the bout. So you have advantage. He has a flat roll. He got a 23. 24.
16.
So
Wow.
he's going to do a d12 damage to you. D12 plus 4. Not a high roll, though. That is only a 7.
Okay, can work with that.
Just want to get a clip across the shoulder this time.
6.
He's gone 12. He's getting overconfident now. He had a slow start, but now he's starting to win it. So he rolls advantage. You get a flat roll. You got a 16.
12.
12. You went for a 6.
This has gone bad.
Went for a 6?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is 8 points of damage.
Ooh, baby. See.
He sees you kind of taking a few hits and stumbles like, see, I told you I was going to drag you through the mud. Why don't you just lay down now? Let's get over it quick.
Are we where we are? We're like it was like paintball-esque, so there's like trees and stuff to duck behind. Ask is gonna make a point of walking out from behind one of the trees and just sort of standing in open view.
Okay.
A sort of Western style duel.
Yeah. You gotta call him out, basically.
Yeah.
He sees you take this, like, no cover, this stance, like, fingers twitching near a boomerang on your waist. And he's gonna match that. So I'm gonna say everyone's rolling d12s for this.
Okay.
You're
I
extremely
have a
exposed.
specific move
go
in
on.
mind, but I don't
Go
know.
on then.
I don't know if it affects anything.
Maybe
Basically, Braska's his right hand, his throwing hand, is hovering over a boomerang.
Yeah.
His left hand is behind his back, already holding one. He's gonna throw left.
Ooh. Okay.
He's tricking him.
Make me a sleight of hand check. I can say it's both d12s, but if you can beat his passive perception, you're going to get the draw, and I'll let you have advantage. 8. Well, let's see what his passive perception is.
Bad roll.
Where to find it? Yeah, with passive perception of 14,
Wow.
you watch as he does the exact same thing. Like, he sees what you're doing, he hovers a hand over the boomerang. As you chuck the one behind your back, he chucks one from behind his back with the other hand. So, a flat roll on both parts. It could be a d12 damage. Right away. Oh, he only got a 10.
13.
You win the bout, so you do d12 plus 4.
12 plus. Come on, please be good. Please be good. Oh, not bad. That's a 12 in total.
Boy. You get a gouge across his knee. And he goes, oh, drops the knee. The wound goes into the mud, which cannot be good for it. And he's just there, panting. You see a whole range of emotions go through his face. And he just slaps the mud over her hand. It's like, I yield! I yield. As he has 3 HP left.
Oh.
I want Brass to go over, and then sort of courteous. He's not going to bow, but he's going to help him up in a way that's like well thought.
You hold a hand out to him, he slaps it away.
With
Pulls
mud.
himself to his feet, and you watch as he just walks off into the crowd. There's a cheer from the crowd, and you see the matriarch hold her staff up. It's like, "I'll do Thorang, everybody! Brask Knuckle!" And as you're sort of cheering, you see that in her other hand, she holds out Dragon Fang. She sort of just gently tosses, and you just watch as it kind of whips up and spins down towards you. And you just go, when you catch it.
Nice.
And you kind of withdraw back from that moment of you kind of like steeling yourself. Like you've had this kind of ups and downs over the last couple of moments, but you are the Thorang of your clan. You can be the Thrang of, small and mighty too. You have honor. But you're starting to realize that aggressive tactics maybe isn't always the right thing. Like you saw what happened to Bear. You're starting to realize that being smarter is the way forward. And maybe not just being an individual, maybe working as a team, and all this kind of stuff starts to go through your mind. And as you know that there is now this rival team, you imagine you'll probably come to blows with him one way or another. You realize being smarter and being a team member is probably the way to go forward with that. You kind of draw back out from you all. And we see the kind of time goes as it comes around to morning, as you all begin to stir the day after, ready to kind of face whatever new challenges come from you. Some of you steeled by your experiences, some of you harrowed by your experiences, but all, I think, the more clear that there are dangers that lie before you. Things are not as clean or as clear as they could be. But I think more than ever, you know that you guys need to stick together, because you'll probably be able to make something of this together. And that's where we're in today's session.
Nice.
Wow.
Hey.
Just wow. That was a McFlurry of emotions. No.
Yeah!
Sorry. Not sponsored.
I especially
Wonderful.
wanted to do a little flashback into Brass life, because we haven't had a lot of Brass story stuff.
That was
so.
lovely.
Yeah, no, that was cool. It was interesting because it's a bit different to what I'd imagined in terms of how we ended up with Dragonfang, but I like it.
Yeah.
Same
Also,
in my case
would have
as
been
well.
fun. Not that it happened, and I think the way it happened was perfect. But like, had you not actually won, it would have thrown some interesting questions about how you ended up with
Yeah,
Dragon
like
Fang.
steal it.
Yeah, I'd had this idea that he hadn't sort of earned it in any way. It somehow chose him. So, like, for example, if he'd been about to lose that battle, Dragonfang would just appear in his hand when he was out of boomerang or something along those lines.
Yeah.
But it is nice that he actually
That's awesome.
earned it honorably and properly. That's very in character for him as well.
I think so. I think
like
so,
it.
definitely. But cool. Sarah, who do you want to give the inspiration token to?
Yeah, it's difficult. Everybody had some really good moments, but I think maybe Brask for his big old fight. He was very involved, made some good choices, from smart decisions. Yeah.
Thank you all.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
That was a really cool mechanic. That was really fun. I hope that's not the
I'm
last duel that we do.
Very glad, because I thought of that and I was like, how do I make one-on-one combat more interesting? And I was like, I had this idea, like, it's me and I'll give credit to my friend Andrew. We were talking about this because he wanted to do it from one of his games, so we sort of kind of came up with the idea ourselves between the two of us. But yeah, I was hoping it would feel fun because that gamble just gives you a little bit more to do each turn.
Especially like it literally went really well at the start, then pretty horribly for a bit.
Yeah.
Then
That's
good
what I was
again.
hoping for.
I love it.
I roll like dog shit for that, guys. Like, I was like, he's going for the big swing. He's got advantage. You beat him every time. I'm like, what is happening?
But it's
But it was
good. It
tense.
made up for
I was
that
really
very involved.
I think
battle.
it wouldn't have been as fun for me, but it would have been poetic if you managed to beat him without ever taking a blow. But
God, yeah.
I'm glad there was a bit of tension in it at the very least.
It's better.
I also had this idea when we were going into the duel before you explained the mechanics of it, of like Ask wasn't going to fire a shot for ages.
Yeah,
he was just going to sort of stand, hands
Chill
behind his back, sort of that classic dodging them, but and goading him thing. But
yeah,
so
I want to expand upon it.
Little
Like,
nippy.
Yeah, things
little
like
nippy
that
shots.
we could probably build into it. I want to expand upon it, like still using bonus actions and stuff like that. So I want to figure out, continue to tweak those rules. But I think as a base, it's solid. I'm very happy about it.
Even stuff like the trying to trick him with the second boomerang behind his back, like, and rolling for that is kind of fun.
I want to get those kind of like tweaks into it at some point, but it's cool. Cool. So to everyone watching, thank you very much for watching us. I hope you enjoyed. I hope none of you have melted back there. If you did, you can catch us again here in 2 weeks' time at the same time. Hopefully,
if you did melt.
If you did melt, tough luck.
Welcome to the molten people.
Yes, we should hopefully be back in 2 weeks' time, although summer is making it very difficult with life stuff. So if we're not, follow our Twitter, you'll find out when we are back. But on here, you can follow us and turn on notifications, so you also get reminded when we go live. Another way of figuring out if we are actually doing what we say we're going to do. If you want to rewatch our last sessions, that's been on YouTube for a little while now. This session will be on YouTube next weekend. And like I said, you can find us on Twitter to find out what we're doing, when we're actually going live, stuff like that.
Yeah, tweet.
And that's been it. So we've been Small and Mighty, guys. Hope you have a good day. Hope you find a way to stay cool. Have a drink of water. And we'll see you all soon. Bye.
Later.